Hello, everybody, and welcome to the high banks of Daytona International Speedway for the third time this week here on the channel. But for today, the NR 2003 Daytona 500 here. We're not doing the full 200 laps, but we are doing 120 here on NR 2003. Very excited to get this underway. And joining myself, of course, we got my partners alongside. We got Jay, of course.
Hello.
And a few days ago, you would remember that Eddie joined us in the booth for both of the duels, and we got him as well again here today.
Hello.
So this should be going out on Saturday afternoon. Very excited, of course, for the IRL Daytona 500, but here we are getting ready to kick off a brand new 2021 season officially here with the first points race of the year, and some new storylines, of course, with Kyle Larson returning to a top team, the new 2311 racing team with Bubba Wallace behind the wheel, Daniel Suarez behind the wheel of a Trackhouse car, which is also a new team, and then colleague as well coming into the sport. So a lot of storylines, guys. And I mean, Jay, what's the biggest storyline coming into the Daytona 500 that you're watching?
I think the biggest immediate storyline is Kyle Larson getting his second chance with Hendrick, and he gets the pole for the Daytona 500. And then also, obviously, Daniel Suarez being at Trackhouse. And then we have, we have Chase Briscoe in the 14 as well.
One of the Rookie of the Year contenders, actually, now is Eddie. What are the things that you're looking at coming into this 2021 season?
I think to see the development of how good the Denny Hamlin racing team can be with the 23XI, as long as we got Team Trackhouse, like Jay was saying, I want to see how Daniel Suarez and Bubba Wallace make impacts for these teams. I think both of them are really steady drivers, and I want to see what kind of equipment they bring every weekend and week out as we start off here in Daytona.
Very excited, of course, to get this season underway here in Daytona. 120 laps around this high banked oval here today. And the grid is ready to roll here for the 2021 Daytona 500. We're going to go through the starting grid here on your screen. Up front, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin trying to go actually for the three-peat here. Hamlin is get his third in a row, or third consecutive Daytona 500. On row number 2, though, we got Chase Elliott, the defending champion, as well as Joey Logano. Row number 3, Chris Buescher, the Clash winner. He did not win the Clash. He was up in the mix. He did not win it, though. Then Kevin Harvick. Then on row number 4, Eric Almirola, Alex Bowman, and then we got the number 12 of Ryan Blaney and Kyle Busch there on row number 6. We'll take you through the rest of the field, but I mean, coming into this Daytona 500, Eddie, I mean, who do you think? Do you think it's going to be maybe Denny Hamlin there? We saw what he did in the duels. He was able to win his second duel. Here he is on the front row. Do you think he's going to be able to pull off the victory today?
I think we definitely have to look at Denny Hamlin here, but I also want to keep a close eye on what the Fords did also, because the Fords in Duel 1 were managing really well together in a strong pack, along with the likes of Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, Brett Keselowski. I kind of look for all of them to be up in the front here today.
Yeah, Jay, I remember you pointed out, especially there in the first duel, that once the Fords were able to kind of get all linked up together, they got to the front and they just took over and nobody could do anything with them after that.
Yeah, it was no shocker to see that with Fords being basically half the field, if not more than that, they got through, they got to the front, and it basically calmed down. So I don't know if we're going to see that same thing happen today, if maybe the Fords just have, that much more oomph than all the other manufacturers, and they're going to do the same thing and dominate this field and be the first, 10, 15 cars. Or if it's going to be, more Chevys getting together and saying, "Nuh-uh, we're going to win this race. We're going to win this race." So it'll be interesting to watch how these manufacturers work together today.
We've seen a lot of Chevys working together in the past and making something work, so definitely wouldn't be surprised about that. Before we get going, we are definitely aware there might be some frame rate drops here and there, so just bear with us for this race. As I see in the back, Daniel Suarez is currently 3 wide with somebody right now. As you can see right there, he actually pulling into line now. He might be okay. As he appears, we actually got problems. Daniel Suarez on the initial start coming into the pit lane here. There, as you see on the right-hand side, a terrible start to the season for that Trackhouse team now, as they were highly anticipated as the Daytona 500 is underway, but Daniel Suarez already off to probably the worst possible start here of the season. Eddie, I don't think we saw that coming. I didn't hear any reports or anything wrong with the 99, but it appears maybe it looks like a mechanical issue.
Apparently, I was being told there was contact on the pace laps with somebody back there. I guess they're saying he has a flat tire, apparently.
Potentially.
Not sure entirely, but it's no mechanical issues with the 99. I think it's just a flat tire.
Really weird situation there for the 99. Very unfortunate, to say the least, as this back straightaway here. The field comes through 39 cars right now, of course, -1, Daniel Suarez on the pit lane. So the first lap of the season, unfortunately for that team, is going to be spent in the pit lane. Already some three-wide action back there between the two and his affiliate teammate of Matt DiBenedetto. And I mean, Jay, we look at a guy like DiBenedetto right now as they come through to complete the first lap, though, of the Daytona 500. But DiBenedetto really in a huge season for his career, trying to prove that he can still run with the front runners and make himself worthy of a top ride.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. This truly is his make or break year. He's gotta prove to himself, to maybe even Penske, that he deserves to, maybe for them to open up a fourth ride, or for any other big team that, hey, I deserve to be in this series. Sign me and let's go win championships together. He's got to prove this year. This is his last shot, I feel like, for him to show that he can stick around in this Cup Series and win races for several years to come.
A huge opportunity here for Matt DiBenedetto. It is already known that at the end of this 2021 season, Austin Cindric, who currently runs in that 33 car this afternoon, will be actually hopping into that 21 full-time next season. So going to be interesting to see what a driver like Austin Cindric can do, the most recent champion of the Xfinity Series. I mean, Eddie, you see him right there up currently, actually in the top 10 here in the Daytona 500. So, I mean, do you think he's going to be able to do something big with this 21 team next year?
I mean, I think it would be interesting to see. I mean, of course, they have the affiliation with Penske and all, and they get most of their equipment from Penske. But, I mean, it would be interesting to see how big of a seat he fills with Matty D, as everyone is speculating where Matty D might be heading after this season, with all the rumors pointing that might be moving over to the 10, possibly with Stuart Haas, or going somewhere else, who knows. But I think Austin Cindric will fit just fine with the 21 and Wood Brothers.
Definitely going to be interesting to see as well what Cindric is able to do here after already 3 laps completed in the Daytona 500. There you see at the front, it's a 3-car breakaway currently with Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Bowman actually looking to the inside of Harvick, but Larson kind of just back there in 4th place. And we kind of saw this something similar like this in the duels where they get a bit of a breakaway, the pack kind of runs them back down, and then they kind of start messing it up again. But I mean, honestly, I don't really know what the game plan is here. We got over 100 laps to go here in the Daytona 500. I mean, Jay, if you're someone like Kyle Larson right now here in P4 right on the back of his teammate, what's your game plan on lap 4?
Probably to just learn as much as you can. New team, new car, new everything, new teammates. So the only thing that he's familiar with is driving a Camaro. So he certainly knows how to push and use that front bumper around the high banks of Daytona. But he's got to figure just about everything else out and find his place and find how comfortable he is with that car. And maybe by the end of this race, be ready to make a big move.
And there you see the 99 of Daniel Suarez back on track. He is actually not a lap down, so what Eddie was correct. It was just a tire that they had actually lost. They are 33 seconds off the pace, of course. No help at all for that Trackhouse team. I would highly expect them to be going a lap down here within a little while now, as Denny Hamlin still out front as we come through to the end of lap 5. Matt DiBenedetto there up on that top lane, just in front actually of the 21, or of the 38, sorry, of Anthony Alfredo, the rookie, who's currently finding himself 3 wide in the middle. But Denny Hamlin taking command early on here in Daytona, exactly what we expected now, as he just signed a multi-year extension actually with Joe Gibbs Racing, and as well Martin Truex Jr. has too now. As it's you look at a guy like Hamlin and Truex, guys, both of them definitely getting up there in age. That's no secret now. I mean, Eddie, you look at Denny. How much longer can you see a guy like this going here in the Cup Series?
I honestly think as long as he keeps winning, I think he could be able to drive a race car, Gary. I think the man is just very talented. It's just the only one piece he's looking for is the championship, of course. But I think as long as he keeps winning races, he's going to be like the likes of Kevin Harvick. I think they'll be in the rides for as long as possible. Even though GGR has really some great stars coming up in the Xfinity Series, I think it's going to be a little bit while before Denny Hamlin calls it quits.
Absolutely. You got to look like at a driver like Harrison Burton there in the Xfinity Series. Definitely an up-and-comer that could land a Joe Gibbs Racing ride here in the future, in my opinion. Now, as you see on the outside, the 17 of Chris Buescher kind of getting hung out there now, as Hamlin continues to just kind of stay in command of everybody, make sure he's just kind of managing both lanes. And actually at the back of the field, you can see, or at the back of the pack at least, you can see some drivers have already lost the draft, like the 66 car. We got the 53 of Balicki, and surprisingly, guys, we look at the 8 of Tyler Reddick, who has lost the draft as well. A lack of speed there from that 8 car, who seems to be under pressure from the number 53 there. Then you got the 37 of Priest. No charter this year for that team, and they find themselves losing the draft as well. So a few cars have lost the draft, and you got this little group back here with Noah Gragson in his debut, Austin Dillon, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and even the 2311 Racing Bubba Wallace there, kind of towards the back now. I mean, Jay, you look at the 23 Bubba Wallace, maybe just trying to feel it out right now before he even tries anything, you think?
Certainly hope so. I would think that the team has better equipment than that. So I would think that maybe Bubba's just trying to get his feelers out and feel a way, much like Kyle Larson trying to get comfortable with the car, and maybe he'll try and make a move later in the race, or maybe just truly he doesn't feel comfortable to do anything, he doesn't want to wreck equipment, and maybe we'll see him stay back there the entire race.
Absolutely going to be interesting to watch them throughout the day. Still over 100 laps to go, over 110 laps to go here in Daytona. No need to really push anything yet now. As you see, he's right behind the number 16 colleague car sponsored by Brandt, driven by, of course, the 16 of Kaz Gralla actually here in today's race now as they go down this back straightaway. But pretty calm so far here in Daytona. I mean, you look through the field, it's just kind of 2 by 2 by 2, and just in front of the 23 of Bubba Wallace, actually, you have the 77 of Jamie McMurray making a one-off start this season here in the Daytona 500 as he goes 3 wide. But I mean, Eddie, you remember back in 2010, McMurray was able to pick up the Daytona 500 victory. I mean, you look at maybe a dark horse pick. I mean, would he come up at all in your choice?
I mean, he'll be up there. I mean, not probably like in my top 5, maybe like top 10-ish, but I think Jimmy Mack's one of the better super speedway drivers we have in this field, besides maybe the likes of David Reagan, who I believe didn't make the show this year. But yeah, I think Jimmy McMurray's up there with like one of those kind of super speedway guys that likes to make one-offs and just be able to just run the race. I'm really happy to see him back behind the wheel.
Absolutely. I'd love to see McMurray get in here for 1 race per year. Usually up in front of Denny Hamlin, we're actually noticing that they're already running down the number 99 of Daniel Suarez. So this could get a little bit interesting now. The pack's been kind of calm. There's a little bit of 3 wide here and there. But if you guys remember back to the first duel on Thursday evening, we saw some 4 wide racing at some points, and they managed to all keep it going in the right direction, but now 2 wide behind Hamlin here. But it's going to be really interesting here in just a few moments' time to see what happens with how this pack approaches Daniel Suarez. 42 seconds behind, of course, right there in front of the pack. I mean, Jay, what do you expect of a guy that's like Daniel Suarez in this spot right now? A terrible start there with that flat tire, and now here he is having to get out of the way already of the pack. I mean, where do you go here when you see this whole pack of cars coming at you?
If I'm Suarez, I'd drop to the apron, but I don't think there's a chance in the world he does that. He's probably going to ride the wall and hope that these guys are able to navigate their way around him to his inside. But one thing I'm quite surprised about so far this race, and Eddie, maybe you can touch on this a bit more. Gary mentioned in Duel 1 early in the race, they were going 3 and 4 wide, and they were racing, really competitively. And so far early in this Daytona 500, the pack has just been kind of not that competitive. They've been kind of scattered and running too wide, and the leaders have just been able to run away with it.
Yeah, you're right, Jay. I mean, we noticed in the duels they were mad aggressive already in the start. I think just to be getting rid of all the aggressiveness, but I think here we're going to notice with 120 laps we have to go. I think it's going to be a little while before we see some aggressiveness happen. I think everyone's just trying to feel out what the track is like, what their cars are handling like, and who they can best be with in the drafting partners, and try to make friends out here for right now to see who can push them to the win later.
And you guys remember, of course, like you guys were just talking about there with how crazy they were at some points in Duel 1 especially. I mean, surprisingly, no one ever crashed there. And I mean, we're looking at this right now, and I really think that these guys have got a control of this track here this week, especially in Daytona. We saw the clash, of course, which was just insanity for us to watch now. But this once they've come onto the oval, they have really kept it clean, no matter how wide it is, 3 wide, 4 wide, whatever you have, and they've just been able to keep the cars clean. So honestly, I mean, Jay, I don't even know if we're even going to see a crash this weekend here in Daytona, to our surprise.
I don't think that's. I don't think we'll make it through this race without a crash. It always happens. The intensity will pick up towards the end. Guys will start making crazy moves, see a hole there that may not exist, that may or may not exist, and they'll try and go for it. And next thing you know, we've got 15 cars involved in a big wreck. So I don't think that we'll get through this race without a wreck. But I am quite surprised that we've gone this far into Speed Weeks without having a really big wreck to talk about other than the clash.
Yeah, the clash certainly was so far the story of the week there. You saw the 24 of William Byron actually kind of getting hung out there, but up front, It appears Kevin Harvick going for a potential move there on Denny Hamlin here at the front. So Hamlin dominating the first 13 and 3/4 laps of this race, but you notice there, Daniel Suarez definitely has some speed in that trackhouse car, because now that he has gotten the draft, here he is, not really falling back. He's up there in second on the inside line, Eddie. So I think that's clearly an idea that we're being given here of what that team could be capable of, and especially if they can get back on the lead laps, he might actually force it 3 wide there. But definitely, I think Eddie's showing what they can actually do here on the track.
Yeah, I'm honestly very surprised here, Gary, about what was going on with the 99. I'm really surprised that the leaders were actually content with having them stay in the traffic. I thought they were just going to try to go around them on the outside or inside here, but apparently they're very content with keeping the 99 out here in this pack. And what I really want to notice is how good these Chevys are going to merge together. As we notice, a lot more of the Fords are starting to stack up here, as you have the 33, the 12, the 22. Everybody out here is merging up together in the front, as we got most of the Fords coming up here to make a battle for the lead here.
Going to get interesting to see if the Fords can take over. And I mean, Jay, you look at Suarez right in front of the 22 of Logano. I mean, as a competitor, what do you think these guys? Do you think they approve of Suarez being up here in the mix right now?
I would say Joey Logano just showed you right there that no, he does not. I think that these guys are they'll probably accept riding behind Suarez for now, but if he keeps getting in the way and maybe not letting them battle Hamlin here for the lead, they'll probably get a little bit anxious and want to throw him out of the way. But also, I think in the mind of Suarez, you're thinking, I'm right up towards the front of the pack. I have speed and clearly have shown that I have a little bit of speed. So maybe he's trying to find a way to get around Hamlin himself and stay in front of him and maybe get unlapped and stay unlapped for a caution to come out.
Daniel Suarez currently with the 36th fastest lap here of the pack now, as up at the front or at the top of the board, Alex Bowman has set the fastest lap. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. actually with the second fastest lap. We saw him at the tail end of the pack earlier. 3 wide there behind us, or behind the 99 and the 4 of Alex Bowman. He was all the way up top. It seems like he might actually get hung out to dry here. Very unfortunate that could be for him, but it almost seems like the intensity was picking up for a few moments there. We're seeing a little bit more of 3 wide action, still just a little bit over 100 laps to go here in Daytona. Kyle Busch there sticking his nose in between the 48 and the 33, and I mean, you look at a driver like Kyle Busch, the 2-time Cup Series champion from 2015 as well as 2019. Surprisingly, Jay, he's never won a Daytona 500 here. He always just seems to kind of get collected in something. We saw him run decent in the duels, really wasn't in the mix. But I mean, do you think we can maybe count on a driver like him today, who's coming off of what in his standards were a terrible 2020 season? Do you think we can really count him as a contender?
As good of a driver as Kyle Busch is, there is one thing that he is notably not good at, and that is plate racing. I believe that his only wins at plate races are the 2 class races that he has won, and he hasn't had much success anywhere else, nor here or Talladega. So this may not be the turnaround that he wants. The Daytona 500 is probably not going to be where he gets a win and starts the season off on a good note, but I'm sure that we will not see what happened last season happen again this season. Kyle Busch is a guy who is going to not take getting 0 wins. He's going to go out and he's going to get multiple wins, and he's probably going to compete for the championship again this season.
They were 4 wide right there for a moment. We saw Kurt Busch, Eric Almirola very close, surprisingly. We saw the exact same thing happen with the duels, with Elliott being in the middle of the 4 wide with Matt DiBenedetto in the mix. Fortunately, they all keep it going right there, but that's the moments we're talking about, how they weren't crashing. I have no idea, but now you see up front, Denny Hamlin still in front. Alex Bowman continues to try and go right up against that wall and seems to try and make it work, but he's kind of struggling to get that top lane rolling. But thank goodness they all were able to keep it going. Suarez falling down just a little bit through the order now, as you got Kevin Harvick up here in that 3rd position right behind Kyle Busch. Harvick, of course, the 2014 Cup Series champion, the first year that we ever implemented this playoff format there. Kyle Busch to the inside, actually, of Denny Hamlin. We've already seen a few drivers try to make that inside work against Hamlin, but it hasn't worked for them. Now is Harvick. He's trying to cross over the 18, getting a lot more exciting up front here for sure. Now as it appears, Harvick's going to force it 3 wide, and I mean, Eddie Harvick's won a Daytona 500 before, back in, 2007, in a photo finish. He hasn't had the best of luck lately when it comes to plate races, but he just proved right there that he has the speed, I think, to be a contender today.
Yeah, and I talked to Harvick before the race, Gary, and he said that this is one of the most challenging races to ever deal with in the beginning of the season. Everyone's off a fresh start. Everyone's trying to learn what everyone can do with their cars, and this is one race that everyone has on their bucket list to add to their resume, the crown jewel of everything, the Daytona 500. But also, Gary, what I have noticed is there's a new player entering the format here. As we look on the top behind Kyle Larson, the 42 of Ross Chastain has silently eased his way up into the front here behind Larson. I would not be surprised here if we see more people going aggressive to get this top lane working, as Ross Chastain looks like to become the leader of the top laner here, Gary.
Ross Chastain ran pretty mediocre in the duels. He didn't really want to risk his car's first ever season in a top ride at the NASCAR Cup Series level here for Chip Ganassi Racing. So very excited to see what he himself can pull off right now, running just a little bit better than his teammate Kurt Busch. You saw Daniel Suarez hang Kevin Harvick out in the middle right there. And Jay, I don't think that's a move Kevin Harvick would appreciate it from a lap car.
I don't think anybody would appreciate that move from a lap car, but Suarez showing so far that he's going to do anything and everything to get his lap back. Meanwhile, Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin are still fighting side by side up there for the lead, which it looks like the pack is going to suck up to them, and maybe somebody like Harvick can get a run here on these guys that are just sitting ducks.
And you notice, I mean, Suarez right now in the lucky dog position, but right here in front of them, you got a car that is about to go a lap down there in that number 66. So that could be Suarez knowing that's coming. He wants to find himself, of course, in that lucky dog spot, and it's going to turn into a fight for him very soon. Suarez continues to lead that bottom lane, but we got the Joe Gibbs duo of Busch and Denny Hamlin there at P1, at P2. Suarez leads that bottom lane, but you see behind, Eddie was just mentioning the 42 of Ross Chastain. We know Chastain to be a very aggressive driver. We expect that in his rookie season, and there he was there on the very top trying to help out the 48 of Alex Bowman. But Bowman continues to fade down a little bit here. We know, Eddie, how much speed that 48 has at a track like Daytona, but you kind of notice a lot of these guys fading back now. Is actually Kyle Busch appears to lose the lead from getting held up behind that 66 car. So very unfortunate to him now as Hamlin goes back to the lead. But like I was mentioning, Eddie, these Hendrick cars right now, other than Kyle Larson, kind of seem to be fading, which do you think that's a reason for concern for them?
No, I don't think it's a concern. I think it's just part of strategy. I'm pretty sure we're going to be coming close to green flag pit stops here soon, Gary. But like I was touching on before the race, me and Jay were conversating about it. Jay, you remember how the duels were working when they had the dual tandems? Basically, it was just two-car drafting. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of this working today because, as I've noticed, a lot of whoever's the lead possibly always seems to get a big gap to the pack. And usually, when a second car comes in behind them, they even pull away further. But somehow, when you have a pack of about like 10, 15 cars, I don't know why, but everyone struggles to even keep up with the two leaders.
Yeah, it seems like with the package, the with this package now, the two cars getting hooked up and pushing together are a whole lot faster than a group of 10 to 15 guys trying to run in a pack and not wreck each other and kind of make maybe letting off the throttle a bit or dragging the brake or watching their mirror not pushing all the way. So it is interesting to see when you have a two-car breakaway, two or three-car breakaway, and they're just continuing to pull away from the pack.
It is really weird, and then you see actually the 5 of Larson now make a move. He started on the front row with Denny Hamlin, actually qualified on pole it was, and now all of a sudden P1, P2, they're back up in the mix. But one thing I'm noticing, Kyle Busch, he lost a lot of ground there from that 66 car, and that 66 appears to be a bit of a roadblock here currently in Daytona. I don't think I'd want to be stuck behind him. You see the disconnect that some of these drivers are getting from that main group of about 7 or 8 cars there with Daniel Suarez at the tail end. But I think, Jay, we're going to see potentially some drivers get a little bit impatient like we're seeing right now 4 wide between Haley, LaJoy, and we actually have a bit of a moment there. That was Kaz Grella, the number 16 for Daytona. He comes back on the track. We have trouble.
The big one. Here it is.
Elliott involved, the 48, and around up and over went the 16, and we have a big incident here into turns 3. We were just mentioning the impatience from some of these drivers, and we saw it come into effect right there. The 16 up and over, it looked like, or at least on the side, the caution. Of course, going to come out here in Daytona. The pace car is out on the track now, but wow. Did you guys see that coming at lap 27? Jay, I was just mentioning how these guys are probably going to get impatient, and we just saw it happen or unfold right in front of our eyes.
Yeah, I believe that was a very, very, very big mistake of that 66 to keep himself in the way of all these guys. And these guys are not going to want to sit behind a slow lap car like that. And eventually they're going to try their best to get around him. And it put them in a situation of being in 4 wide. And, well, you see the result of it. There's 10, 10 plus cars here that are destroyed, and obviously Kaz Grala going for a huge ride up and over, rolling down the back straightaway. And I think it might have been Keselowski that got turned in front of a couple other cars, and they had a big hit into the outside wall on turn 3.
The main cars involved there, Keselowski, Elliott, the 34 of McDowell, the 77 of McMurray, took a lot of damage. We're going to get a replay on your screen right now to see what in the world just went down between all these drivers there, with Kaz Grala igniting a huge moment there on lap 26. Here's the initial replay of the 16 of Grala. Actually, the rookie making his first Cup Series start, went 4 wide there with the lap car of the 66 on the far outside, and they just all came together right there out of turn 2. The 7 of LaJoie forces him below the line, but here's where it got really interesting. You saw the 16 come up right across the front of the 2, and then it just all goes downhill from there and up and over. The 16 went right there, the 2, the 34, the 77, of course the 9, all involved in that big incident. But 26 laps in, we've already had a flip to start off the 2021 season.
So Kaz is going 4 wide here. He feels like he's just going to send it right here in between these guys, and he's got Corey LaJoie right to his outside. As they're coming off turn 2, LaJoie makes contact with him, and Grala makes a great save, but then he decides to come back up onto the track, thinks he's clear of Brad, and in fact he is not. Turned into Chase Elliott, now on his side, and it's just on from there. He rolls over, lands back on his wheels, and it looks like his day is probably going to be done.
As we see here, Jay and Gary, Brad was just a lone victim in all this as he notices the 16 is about to merge back up to the track. As they're already 3-4 wide, there's nowhere for Kaz to go, and Brad is just a lonely victim in all of this. Great save, but then he gets hooked as a lead car and takes out the 34, Michael McDowell, head onto the outside retaining wall. And I think it might be minimal damage, but I think the 2 is going to be a little bit down on power to finish this race out here.
So view from the back of Chase Elliott's car, obvious, he had no idea this was happening there. Just honestly, I would say, what do you think, Jay? A rookie mistake there from the 16?
Certainly a rookie mistake, and I don't know if maybe the spotter told him that he was clear of Brad when he in fact wasn't, but obviously nothing Chase Elliott could do. By the time the 16 and the 2 were coming over towards him, he had no chance of missing that wreck. And also unfortunate for Bowman, who I'm not sure to the extent of the damage that he has, but also just another innocent guy in this, just riding along, and all of a sudden he's getting tagged by his teammate.
Definitely unfortunate there for Alex Bowman. Picked up very minimal damage. He should be able to continue. We'll get a better look, but here's a view from Noah Gragson in his first Cup start. You couldn't see anything right here. Look at all the smoke just pouring in his windshield. Up goes the 16 over, and look how close that was there. Even the 47 as well of Ricky Stenhouse Jr., both of them narrowly avoided that. And another one that narrowly avoided that, just barely, was Bubba Wallace there in the number 23. Bubba going down the back straightaway here, same situation as many others, probably had no idea what's about to happen, but look how close it was for him to get taken out. The 77 there involved as well, but look how close that was. You actually see the 3 car of Austin Dillon got up in the outside wall there when the caution came out here. So a lot of chaos all of a sudden here on lap 26 in the Daytona 500, which results in the 16 of Kaz Grala in his Cup Series debut on his roof. Back to the live scene here in Daytona. We actually had a beneficiary from that incident, Eddie, you were aware of?
Yes, Gary, the big beneficiary in all this, the 99 of Daniel Suarez will be getting his lap back after the unfortunate flat tire he suffered in the beginning laps of the 500. So the 99 is absolutely back in this race, and I know that crew has to be very excited as we see about the whole field coming to pit road here, Gary.
Suarez with the lucky dog there. You saw them, got a flat tire after a really weird situation on the pit lane at the start of this race now. But you look at drivers, especially right now, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski picked up quite a bit of damage in that incident. Now, as you look at the 2, doesn't seem too bad, but the 9, I'm really curious about here with Chase Elliott now. Do you guys think, Eddie, he's going to be able to continue on with a strong race, or is he going to just kind of be riding around the rest of the day?
I honestly think he'll be running around the rest of the day, Gary. I mean, I think it might affect him in the draft, but I think with the most of the damage on the quarter panel and most of the damage in the front, I think his chances of winning the 500 may be a lot more slimmer than they have been. As we see everybody coming off pit road here, as I think the 34 might actually be done, I'm more than likely. I think that whole car was just completely torn off from the back end to the front. As we noticed that they're taking very expensive time on the 9 car here in pit road.
The 2 of Keselowski just coming out now. The 77 of McMurray got very beat up there. He's coming out of his box. You see the 34 returning to the track, but you look at the heavy damage there on the back of that car. So very unfortunate for all those drivers involved now, as we are going to go to a quick break. get ready for the restart, and we will rejoin you here in just a few moments time after that big crash here on the 26th lap of the 2021 Daytona 500. And we are back here from Daytona International Speedway for the 2021 Daytona 500. Here now less than 100 laps to go at the time of the restart. This time by it'll be 90 laps remaining in Daytona. And we were actually incorrect about the whole lucky dog thing because we did not realize at this time with NASCAR apparently there was no lucky dogs handed out. So Suarez, the 66 on the inside there, as well as there's no double file restarts in NR2003. That's why you're seeing a single file line. But now we're going to quickly show you a replay of the reason Daniel Suarez is even in this position to begin with here, which happened or occurred before the race even had begun here in Daytona. So Daniel Suarez on the pace lap had a very weird moment. We're actually getting told by the team that it was actually a steering wheel issue, and you saw him hit the wall there, and it actually ended up getting a tire cut from that, the right front, of course. So he ended up bringing it to the pit lane, and it got really weird after that. There were 3 wide. It was really awkward. And, of course, we saw Suarez at the start of the 500 bring it into the pit lane and get some tires put back on that car. And, of course, I would assume fix the damage on that thing now as we get ready to take the green flag once again here in Daytona. Out of turns 4, Denny Hamlin getting ready to lead the field back to the green. I mean, guys, we saw what just happened. Eddie, do you think Elliott or Keselowski make their way back forwards in this race?
I personally think that the 2 and the 9 still have a chance, but I honestly think the 34 doesn't have any more of a chance, as we know now that the 16 has pulled it into the garage. Gary, he is absolutely done for the day.
Done for the day, of course. He was up on his roof. The green flag is back out at the start of lap 31, and the reason that whole car crash happened, it got ignited by the 66 being in the way, and here he is up at the front of the pack. It's like everybody almost has to, once again, get back around him now, and then the single file restarts in NR2003 going to make it even more complicated for some of these drivers there, as you see Kyle Larson just behind him. But Jay, I mean, we were mentioning about patience with that 66 car after what he just did. What do you think's going to be the consensus between everybody now?
Well, I think Larson just answered your question. Nobody's going to have any more patience for this guy. They're going to make him get out of the way and say, dude, you have 0 pace compared to us. Move, or we're going to turn you into the outside wall.
I don't know about you, Eddie, but I'm a little bit nervous right now watching that 66 car in the mix here after knowing what he just did. And you're also seeing a very interesting dynamic with how the single file restarts are with some drivers losing connection. I'm sure they will pick up once again with the draft. But yeah, I mean, very nerve-wracking, at least for myself, seeing the 66 up here. I don't know what you're feeling like.
Yeah, Gary, I'm being told that a lot of drivers are complaining about the 66 right now, being under power and under performance right now, as as we have actually radio communication from the one who apparently has called Timmy Hill 66 a lot of nice names that I cannot repeat on the air. So you can definitely tell the frustration is getting to the drivers about how they feel about the 66 car right now.
And I'm sure we're going to see him multiple more times throughout this race in a similar position. Daniel Suarez right now actually up on the outside. I mean, with no lucky dogs being able to be handed out, I mean, you can pretty much write him off as well unless some type of a crazy strategy comes into play here in tonight's Daytona 500. But the 66 still there in the way, planted right in front of the 21 of Matt Benedetto, who's trying to maybe go to the middle. Byron as well. But you look behind this main pack, we got the 43 of Eric Jones. They've actually got a little bit of rear end damage that apparently a couple of drivers had gotten some rear end damage during the pit stop cycle. Jones, Kurt Busch included. But I mean, you see Anthony Alfredo actually with some front end damage. So I think we can kind of link things up here now. But Jay, I mean, you're seeing this disconnect here. Are these guys even going to be able to suck up to the front pack?
Not without a caution. They have already lost so much ground in just a few laps since the restart, and I'm not too sure why these guys lost so much ground. I mean, you can see a couple of the cars with damage, but most of these cars farther back here don't look to have any damage at all. I mean, maybe Bowman does from that incident, but you wouldn't think it would be a whole lot of damage to have him this far back from the pack already, 3 laps out into the restart. So I'm not too sure what's happening with these guys. I'm not too sure why this issue is happening. But there's no way that they get cut back up to the front pack unless they somehow get into a single file line and run 10 mile an hour faster.
One thing that really surprises me, Eddie, look at this. We were mentioning we saw Chastain up there earlier, but look, he's all the way down currently in 36, so something clearly going on there with the number 42. But I mean, a lot of these guys that were involved in
Chastain
incidents
has some
back
right
here.
side damage, some heavy right side damage. I'm not sure how he had it, but I noticed earlier that his right side is completely pancaked in.
Oh yes, you can kind of see it there off of turn 4, and he seems to even be losing connection with these guys. So very awkward. And as we were away from that, Kyle Larson has actually taken the lead in the 500. Denny Hamlin has fallen down a little bit here. So a bit of a shake-up in there while we're looking through the rest of the field. But we still got this big pack of cars going at it right here. But there's no chance those guys in the back are going to be able to run these guys down. The 66 car has fortunately gotten disconnected from this main pack of cars. You can kind of see him losing pace, and now the cars behind are going to have to deal with him soon. But definitely, I'm sure he's not going to have many friends at the end of today. Now as they go 3 wide here in about 10th place or so, Denny Hamlin continuing to fall down the order right now. As right now, Kyle Larson out front with Kurt Busch, Kevin Harvick, Chris Buescher all up there in the top 5 along with Eric Almirola. So definitely a bit of a shake-up with things here recently since the restart. I mean, Eddie, what do you take from this? Do you think it's going to stay green the rest of the way? Maybe we see another incident with that 66 car involved, or do you think they're just going to kind of keep it clean here?
Well, Gary, I'm being told news that the 11 right now is complaining about a vibration after those last pit stops, so we might be having some unfortunate news here for the 11, but right now I'm looking at a lot of the question marks up here. We have the 7 of Corey LaJoie up here in the top mix. We have the 49 of Chad Fincham up here. We have the 51 of, I believe that's Cody Ware up here in the top mix.
Yeah, we got some definitely dark horses. Corey LaJoie, Fincham, Cody Ware, like Eddie mentioned as well. They're 3 wide there in front. Now, as you see, Kevin Harvick up to 3rd place, looking to the inside of the number 1 of Kurt Busch. Can't quite make it happen there. He has pretty much no help at all now. And I guess we got our question answered. I was asking earlier, by the way, speed weeks have gone. Do you think we'll see a crash? Obviously, that was answered pretty quickly here now as we come through, approaching the end of lap 37 here in the 2021 Daytona 500. At the very back there, you see that 66 continuing to fade now as Harvick makes a move up the inside there of the number 1 car of Kurt Busch. He would love to get up there and lead this Daytona 500, but what a statement, Jay, this is here from the number 5, driven by Kyle Larson, his first race for points, at least, with this new Hendrick Motorsports team.
I can imagine that man is smiling from ear to ear right now, getting to lead the Daytona 500 in the brand new car and the brand new team that he's with, and finally getting to race competitively in NASCAR again. But one thing I will notice is that second group way back down there on the back straightaway, they finally gotten grouped up and they finally formed a little pack. So maybe they can make up some ground. There's certainly some strong contenders in this pack, but I don't know if they'll be able to make enough ground to catch that first pack again.
Their first obstacle is going to be getting past the 66 car once again. You got the 48 of Alex Bowman in there. You got the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. So some strong cars. The 14 as well of Chase Briscoe. The 2311 car driven by Bubba Wallace. So far hasn't been necessarily the debut these new teams especially been looking for. We saw the Trackhouse car Suarez have issues with his steering. We saw the 16 of Colleague up on their roof. And Bubba Wallace, the only one that hasn't actually hit anything. But here he is still running towards the back. So, I mean, Eddie, you compare that 2311's debut to other teams, they're having a great debut right now.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate to see where Bubba Wallace is right now. I think it's just the fact of where they started to begin with, and then plus all the uncertainty is we might be having trouble here, Gary, soon as the 66 is coming like a rocket to this second pack right now. And I don't know how they're going to manage to get around this, but it should be interesting to see.
It's going to be interesting to see if they maybe split him, or maybe they learned from trying to pass him last time now, which caused that big incident. It appears that the 78 of BJ McLeod might just actually stay in behind the 66. They don't want to risk anything, but they're going to lose so much time doing this now. And Jay, you got to wonder if a driver like this is even going to stay on the track. He's been such a big factor in holding everybody up at this point.
I'm almost wondering if he's making minimum speed. I guess obviously he is, because otherwise NASCAR would have black flagged him by now. But I don't see much reason for Timmy Hill to stay out there on the track with this little bit of pace. You could see on that camera angle off of 4, the pack was catching him, and it seemed like 20 mile an hour. So that he obviously has zero pace compared to these guys, and he is a literal roadblock at the moment, not getting out of the way of anyone.
Very unfortunate to kind of see that happening there. You see the 42, the 2, they are in a lot of trouble here. This is going to be another obstacle for this main pack, now led by the 17 of Chris Buescher. Chris Buescher, who was a big factor in the Busch clash a handful of days ago. Here he is up front now leading, and it's currently 3 by 3 by 3, about 3 rows deep right behind Buescher. Definitely, they have not learned from that first incident. These guys are not afraid to get aggressive, but they are probably a lot more comfortable around each other than they were with the 66 of Timmy Hill being involved. But Jay, we've seen a lot of speed as myself and you were up in the booth there for the Busch Clash. We've seen what that 17 is capable of, and here he is today leading the Daytona 500.
He has certainly shown a lot of speed so far this season, and it's kind of surprising to me. I'm not sure if you or I or really anyone expected this Roush Fenway group to have this much speed so far in the season. But I will say that at the moment, these guys behind him are kind of battling it out and racing 3 by 3, so that also could be the reason why he's able to carry away here, because as we've seen throughout Speed Weeks, and especially throughout those first 2 duels, that when they're battling 3 by 3 like that, or even side by side, they're not as fast as a couple of guys that just can break away and push each other. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of runs these guys can make and what kind of moves can be made as we get towards the end of this race.
Here we got an onboard shot with Denny Hamlin there in that number 11 FedEx Toyota Camry. 3 wide in the middle he is. I've been keeping an eye on the leaderboard right now, and that second pack at the line last time was 9.2 seconds behind the first pack, and when they come around to the line this time, they are going to be 9.5 seconds back. So losing a little bit of ground still there, as I thought there was about to be some contact between Denny Hamlin and the 51, but fortunately they were able to keep it clean. But they go down this back straightaway, still led by the 17, but they are quickly approaching this 3-car pack of the 42 of Ross Chastain, the 34, as well as the 2. And I mean, Eddie, the right side definitely caved in a little bit, but it really doesn't seem like something that should significantly impact this 42 car.
Might be affecting it aero-wise, Gary. I don't know if the draft might be just not working for the car, but I think they're really just hoping and praying for a caution to come out, as we see the leaders are starting to pounce on them right now. I think they're a couple seconds back here.
Yes, they will be close to that pack very soon. Now 10 seconds between the front pack and that second pack. Harvick up the inside of the 17, but it's really going to be interesting to see how this 3-car trio up in front of them is going to affect this main pack here, as they've shown or proven that they've had trouble even dealing with 1 car. So it's going to get interesting now. And I kind of feel for a driver like Daniel Suarez with that poor start. You see, he's been having no problem at all running up here in the pack, Jay. And I really don't know if there's any way he's going to be able to work himself onto the lead lap.
He's got to find himself someone willing to push him and go with him and get him around the leader, and somebody willing to stick behind him, which I don't think you'll find anyone willing to do that right now in this front pack. As you see, they've caught those 3, and Ross Chastain is so much slower than the lead pack, and now Keselowski is going to hold up Kyle Larson, and it looks like these guys are going to have to once again struggle to find a way around these guys and just get held up by roadblocks.
Definitely, I think something, the way this race has begun in the first 30 laps, something that we're going to have to deal with for the rest of this race. Keselowski, the 34, right in the path of the 2 drivers leading their respective lanes. Larson on the bottom leading the race. Kurt Busch leading the top lane there. Has to find a way quickly around that 34 of McDowell if he wants to have a chance to stay within reach of getting the lead. But Keselowski moved to the top there. Actually a little bit generous, letting Kyle Larson go. And you're seeing the effect, though, it has on a driver like Kurt Busch now, as they could see some 3 wide here. Kurt Busch not really being afraid to get going now. He doesn't want to lose a lot of time. That 2-car had a bit of a moment right there, didn't he, Eddie?
Oh my God, Kurt Busch is not happy at all with the 2-car right now, Kerry. The 1-car Kurt Busch has been trying to get past Michael McDowell for the longest, and now he's just been roadblocked by the 2. I could definitely say Kurt Busch is not having a pleasant time right now.
Kurt Busch.
I will say one thing I noticed. I was looking at the leaderboard, and I was going to mention it, that maybe watch for that second pack to kind of catch these guys here. That second pack, the half a lap they were behind those guys, caught them by almost 2 seconds. That's how far these 3 cars are off the pace, and just sitting in front of these guys, how much of an issue it's causing them. So maybe the second pack can gain here.
Big opportunity for them. You see, they have now gotten through this main pack, but Denny Hamlin actually is, and Kevin Harvick even, stuck behind them, and they were up front here just a few laps ago, and this could be trouble now. If they don't get clear of that 2, they could end up losing the draft, and they're going to get swallowed up by the second pack. But Kurt Busch, Eddie was mentioning, definitely got the worst end of that. He was leading the outside line. Now he finds himself outside of the top 10, along, of course, with Denny Hamlin and whatnot, and now 8.9 seconds from that first to second pack here. As you see Kyle Larson, though, still out front, leading the way. But we go down a little bit and see Hamlin and Harvick. Are they close enough, Eddie, to maintain with the draft? Are they going to be able to suck up back to that first pack?
I actually think they lost the draft here, Gary. I think Denny Hamlin and Harvick are just content now. They just have to get back up here to the field unless they just hope that the second pack catches them close enough to where they can get back up here. But I think Denny Hamlin and Harvick might be in trouble here.
I don't
Much
think they
like,
have it.
oh, I apologize, Gary. I was going to break in with something. Much like Kurt Busch, Denny Hamlin went over the radio a moment ago and was cursing up an absolute storm. He is so upset right now at those three guys, especially someone like Brad Keselowski not moving out of the way of these guys and letting them have their race. Now the 11 and the 4 disconnected from the lead pack, and they're going to slowly far their way back to the second pack and have no chance in this race unless there's another caution.
We're about to see it right here. Hamlin was 1.2, nearly 1.3 seconds behind the main pack. At the end of the last lap, we come through to cross the line this time, and now it's about a second and a half or so. So definitely losing some time. That's going to be a big issue for them now. As we look back here, though, Bowman and this second pack have now run down the 42 of Ross Chastain. The 66 is in the mix as well, but they seem to be dealing with him a lot better than they did the first time. But this second pack, unfortunately, they're not really going anywhere, and especially with these slower cars involved, without a caution, they're really going to be in trouble here now. As Bowman out in front, actually we got the 78 of BJ McLeod even doing well now as a 2 and the 34 side by side. Eddie, this is exactly what you do not want to see when you're so much faster than both of these guys coming up on them.
If you ever wanted to see what it's like to not get your favorite birthday present on your birthday, this is exactly what's going to happen with the second pack right now. They are going to have a load amount of trouble getting by these two wreck race cars, especially when they're side by side and not giving any room to anybody else. As you can see, the second pack is closing very quickly on the two of them. It should be interesting to see what happens here.
Here they are, the 78 of McLeod on the back. Bowman, he's going to go to the outside with McDowell. Jones is here. You see 3 wide behind them. I don't know what they're going to do here. Now, as they might actually just determine they're just going to ride behind these guys for a minute, but it appears Eric Jones actually might want to take matters into his own hands, try to force it 3 wide up the inside of the 78 and the 48. Nice move there from Jones. He's going to try and move his way. Look at the 66 there of Timmy Hill climb right up to the back of these guys, but a lot of, I guess, Jay, would you call it like a bit of a disrespect from these slow cars here today?
Oh, certainly. They are not making friends with anyone. Hell, I don't know if I would forget this for the rest of the season. These guys are sitting roadblocks and just not moving out of the way for anyone at all. It doesn't matter who they are. I'm not too sure what I'm watching here with these guys today, but they need to learn how to move out of the way when they're this far off the pace.
A Daytona 500 on the line, and they are not playing nice here as the 3 of Austin Dillon appears to be smoking out of turn 4, and that nearly resulted in a terrible accident. He drifted back up on the track. Thank God that did not turn into something more. Eddie, I've seen that on stuff like iRacing where drivers will drift up on the track. I'm sure you have too.
Yeah, absolutely, Gary. I'm being told from the 3 car it is a blown motor. They are absolutely done for the day.
Wow, that was... I am shocked that he made a mistake like that right there. He just about came back up on the track. You saw it right there, Jay. He just about cleaned out the field.
Oh, my heart sank into my stomach. I thought that was going to be it right there, that we were going to have the entire front of this pack get demolished, and this race would have been over for a lot of these guys. I don't know how Austin Dillon makes a mistake like that, but I hope he doesn't ever make it again, because that was almost awful.
Austin Dillon, we saw him recently, actually, at the Rolex 24 have a bit of a headlining moment as well in practice where he actually missed the braking zone in what I think it was like turn 3 or 4 and actually went around into oncoming traffic and had a bit of a moment there. Now, as we come through out of turns 2, Logano has actually taken the lead from Kyle Larson, but once again, we talk about these slow cars, and in the mix, it's side by side between Jamie McMurray and the defending champion of Chase Elliott. I mean, you see how quickly this pack is closing. This is going to get interesting. Look at the closing rate between the front 2 drivers and these back 2 drivers right now. Larson goes to the bottom, Elliott to the top, and fortunately, they're able to get the car slowed up in time. Larson might try to make it 3 wide there on the inside. Very close quarters there now as they go down towards turns 1, but definitely not the start, Eddie, of the season that Chase Elliott would like to have to defend his 2020 championship.
No, as you would say, Gary, they're coming off a championship hangover right now, as apparently the 9 team has just been struggling all weekend to find speed in single car practice and draft and even in qualifying. Even though they qualified in the top, they were not happy with the performance they had. as the Hendrick cars always, when they come to super speedways like Daytona and Talladega, are always known to qualify up front as the 5, shown it today, that he's been the most dominant Hendrick car out of the top 4. But like you said, Gary, a very unfortunate day from Chase Elliott.
Absolutely. Now, as you look at this main pack, I think this is the most intense it's been, and we didn't even kind of realize Harvick and Hamlin have gotten to the back of this pack, so they are back reconnected. But the second pack now is over 15 seconds behind, and there was also that mix-up of slower cars. But look at Larson. Look at the gap he has. Jay, you got to think, with a gap like that, once these guys get settled out, they're going to swallow him up.
And they are doing that right now, and they're going to do it quickly. Larson is an absolute sitting duck. And honestly, if he's not careful, if he goes to block wrong, he could wind up getting himself turned in front of this pack, and it could cause a huge wreck. So these guys need to be careful getting past him, and Larson needs to be careful with what kind of move he chooses to make here.
Here's the closing rate. You can see here they are closing up very quick on the back of that number 5 car as they exit turn 4. It's going to be interesting to see if Almirola makes a move, or he's maybe just going to stay right there tucked in behind the 5. Now, if that was a few laps ago, I'm sure that would have ended completely different now. Now, as he's got the 51, by the way, Cody Ware having a tremendous effort in that Rick Ware Racing number 51 Camaro. He just announced it's going to be full-time with that team here for the 2021 season. Eddie, he's having a great run here today in Daytona compared to the other dark horses.
Yeah, they are having a great run today, Gary. But Gary, I just want to inform you, with all that mess happening with the 2 lap cars, look who's back in the mix here. The 11 of Danny Hamlin and the 4 Kevin Harvick. We all 3 of us thought they were going to lose the draft and have to hold for a caution, but no, they're right back in the mix, right back in the top 10, and are not out of this race at all.
2 veteran
frankly,
drivers.
Eddie, that's because the lap cars have made this race an absolute clown show because none of them want to move. It's been a joke so far. I'm not too sure what they're doing, but none of them want to move out of the way for these lead cars.
They sure have wanted to spice it up now, as Hamlin still continuing the dream of making NASCAR history here today, of winning 3 Daytona 500s in a row. Wasn't taken on that first incident. He's always in the mix at the end. I expect him to avoid all the incidents today now, as we might not even see any more incidents. Everything's kind of calmed down. It's going to be interesting. Now, as you see the 51 of Cody Ware, he is not content running there in P4. He makes a move up the inside of William Byron there as they go down into turns 3 and 4. But once again, look what we have. The 42, the 2, the 34, bunch of slow cars again, about to get swallowed up by this pack. But they seem to be pretty calm right now, so it might not have too much of an effect. But last time Hamlin and them went through these guys, they nearly lost connection. But look at them blow by the 42. That outside lane is going to be swallowing up these guys. Oh, Chastain, a bit of a close call with the 51 of Cody Ware. But now, look up in front. Look at the gap Larson and Almirola have. So it's definitely these slow cars really becoming a big issue here in Daytona. And it's about 4 or 5 cars or so each time causing this issue, as you see Chastain holding up this pack, and you see the right side damage on the car now, as Daniel Suarez still continues to run up here in the mix. Now as we exit turn 4, Larson and Almirola have run down this next group of cars here. Where are they going to go?
Denny Hamlin got caught up there by the 42 again and fell back to the back of that lead pack. He had just gotten back up to the front and through all these guys, and look at him. He's still stuck behind the 42.
Oh, he's not going to be best friends with Chastain after this.
Denny Hamlin is not a happy camper right now behind that wheel. There is probably a lot of anger under that helmet, and he is about ready to go and beat up that driver of the 42.
And I was about to mention, Jay, also, we were talking earlier about the 2-car tango, and I thought Larson and Almirola were about to be clear. But no, they get involved in 2 more lap cars, and they have absolutely nowhere to go, as the rest of the pack has just caught up with them.
Oh my god, this is interesting. Denny Hamlin, it was more of a, is he going to crash, or is he going to be able to win the Daytona 500? What's going to be the thing that stops him? I think it's going to be lap traffic that stops him today.
Pit stops, Gary.
Yes, pit stops here in Daytona. The 4, the 21, the 22, the 20. A bunch of Joe Gibbs cars, some Penske affiliates there, and the 24 of William Byron. Now, as we're right in the window, I believe, Eddie, aren't we, of green flag pit stops?
Yes, we are right on the window. I'm pretty sure they can just one-stop it from here on out to make it to the end of the race. As I'm being told, the 11 was indeed having a loose wheel, but they told him to ride it out, make it to the end to where they can make it the pit stop. The 4 is apparently complaining also that he was having a loose wheel. And the 22 is just really complaining on the radio about lap cars not moving out of the way. As we see everybody taking 4 tires of fuel and have one more stop to make it to the end of the race. There's more cars coming on pit road here, Jay.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if I believe these are cars from the second group, from the second pack. And so it'll be interesting to see if these guys maybe make up some ground here off pit road, and it'll it'll be also interesting to see if they can truly make it on one stop from here.
Definitely going to be interesting, like Jay mentioned. It's going to be close. Now, as there is still 60 something laps to go, so I think it's what, one stop, and then they're good. Now, as you saw, a few cars come in from that second pack there. Bowman, Alfredo, Martin Truex Jr. There you see the 47 as well, and we got all these cars going by. But now everything's going to be spread out for a little bit here in Daytona now, as you got a bunch more cars. Elliott, the 17, the 10 of Almirola, 18 of Kyle Busch, Cindric, who's been kind of quiet here in his debut for the Cup Series, but he's done a good job, Jay, of keeping his car clean all day. He's been having a good run in his Cup Series debut.
He's impressed me so far. He's shown that he knows what to do around these high banks of Daytona. And Cindric is not a guy that you think of as a super speedway guy. He's one of those like Chase Briscoe. He's a road course guy. You know, you see him excel on road courses, and I don't know if I expected this from him, especially being his first start in that fourth Penske car. So it's been really nice to see from him.
Definitely a good effort there now, as we see a bunch of cars rejoining the track now, so things kind of spread out. Denny Hamlin coming through here right now. The 12 of Ryan Blaney is your leader, but we actually have a caution on the track here in Daytona, and honestly, our cameras didn't catch anything. I'm not sure what has brought out the caution, but is this going to force some drivers potentially a lap down here, Eddie?
It might be. I'm being told that it was something occurring off the pit road exit. I'm not sure who was involved, but we might have to get a replay if we can. If any of our cameraman might have caught that, but I'm not sure here though. But I think the 12 of Ryan Blaney here and the 7, I think, are all getting blessed here because I'm pretty sure none of them have pitted yet. So I'm pretty sure a lot of the cars here, Gary, will be trapped. Oh, as we see, major damage to the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. I don't know what has happened here. These guys have just been insane today.
I believe we have found a culprit.
One would have to think that's either damage coming onto pit road or that would be damage coming off of pit road. But either way, it seems like there was an issue with these guys navigating pit road.
I believe it was coming off of the pit lane. We saw him in his pit box. He looked okay. But before we get some access to the replays, so the 12 of Blaney and the 7 of LaJoy are your top two, but they still have to pit here. So, I mean, I'm going to assume we're going to have some drivers that are able to take the wave around, as you see some drivers coming into the pit lane. Truex, of course, but Alfredo, he had already come into the pit lane now, but Blaney appears to stay out. So a bunch of weird things going on right now. As you see, LaJoy, he was actually about to go past everybody, but absolute mess there.
Kyle Larson is actually the leader of the race.
Larson back to the
front. Find out what happened here, Gary. I see the 38 with major rear end damage and the 19 with major front end damage. I think we know the two culprits here.
Larson actually on the pit lane, by the way, now as well, so really weird. But yeah, you see the 38.
Interesting that Larson is pitting again. I wonder if he had some kind of issue coming off of pit road.
I'm not sure,
Maybe
but
they felt a tire was loose.
I'm not sure, yeah, because we also have more issues. That is the 14 of Chase Briscoe, who we just saw moments ago. I think an engine failure on him as well. And then we got another car off the pace in turn 4 who seems to be limping there. I think that's the 37.
The 37 of Ryan Preece right there, Gary.
He can. Does that look like a tire failure to you guys?
I can't tell if it's a tire failure or maybe if he had an engine failure or some kind of mechanical failure, and maybe he got hit, and now he's just lost all momentum or something. Maybe a stalled engine and he can't get it refired. I'm not too sure what's going on here. There's no smoke out of that car.
I'm being told Jay, the 37 is out of gas apparently.
That does seem logical. We're not seeing any smoke come out of that car. What a weird turn of events just off the pit cycle. We are going to go into a break real quick here in Daytona, come back, show the replays, get ready for the restart when we have everything figured out here in the Daytona 500. And we're back in Daytona, and you were wondering why the dominant driver Kyle Larson came into the pit lane. This is the incident that occurred out of turn 4. Logano and Larson come together. There was a bit of a checkup that kind of brought the 22 to the back of the 5. They went around, and the same incident is also the reason Martin Truex Jr. has a whole bunch of damage. We'll get to that in just a moment, but a big development here with the 5 of Kyle Larson and the 22 of Joey Logano. We're going to show you guys the roof cam from the 22.
So you can see Kyle Larson up ahead here, Joey Logano, stuck behind these guys who I assume are slowing down for pit road or maybe getting back up to speed. Logano comes up to Larson's bumper, makes contact, and then just continues to turn him all the way around. I'm not too sure if he was just out of control or if he decided that he was just going to dump Larson once he had already started. Either way, big development here for Larson, as you can see he obviously has right side damage, and then Logano here maybe having some front end on damage on that left side as well.
Here's Kyle Larson's video. You can kind of see him checking up behind the 41, and I'm assuming just out of nowhere, right there he gets hit. around. He goes, he had probably no idea that was coming. Maybe his spotter was able to tell him something there as he would go around. Very unfortunate for the dominant car. Eddie, we've seen Larson running up front all day, and here he is getting taken out here now, right at the halfway point.
Yeah, it's very frustrating for Larson and his crew, Gary, and I can confirm to you that Cliff Daniels, the crew chief, and Larson are both confused on what the 22 was thinking there.
That wasn't the end of this incident. Martin Truex Jr. came pile driving into this after everyone was checking up right into the back of the 38, of Anthony Alfredo. Just pile drived him right in the back bumper. And I mean, Jay, you see right here from the roof cam a ton of damage on the 19. Is that the end of his race, do you think?
I would have to think that's the end of his race. If it's not the end of his race, you can add Martin Truex to the list of those lap cars who are going to be a roadblock in this race, because I guarantee he'll probably do the same thing as every other one that's on the track.
And at the time of that caution, it was really awkward with the pit cycle. Right now, apparently only 22 cars on the lead lap, but look, Daniel Suarez might have gotten a huge break as he couldn't get the lucky dog earlier. Now he's up in 22nd on the lead lap here in Daytona. And back to the live scene on the track, it is, honestly, Eddie, you look at it, it's a mess right now. We got, last time by, Kyle Larson was the leader, but we're about to find out truly what's going on here in Daytona. But, I mean, what a turn of events, Eddie, it has been.
It's been unbelievable, Gary. Oh, as we have the 37 just parked right there on the straightaway, but I think he is comparatively out of gas, and I can confirm the 14 engine failure. The day is over for the rookie. Unfortunate start to his NASCAR Cup Series career. But as we all cycle through here, I'm wondering, Gary, where was the 5 position before the caution? That is the big storyline, because the most dominant car of the day involving a completely interesting, very interesting wreck. But as we're looking here, it looks like BJ McLeod right now is scored possibly as the leader. I'm taking a guess.
I don't
because
believe
he's
so.
the first car behind the pace car.
I
I'm
think
not
it's
sure.
Ryan Blaney that is actually scored the leader.
Oh yes, as I think all these cars are a lap down here. So yeah, you might be correct. I think I mean we're just waiting for the update on NASCAR on where everyone's scored here. But as you
Huge
guys
mess.
may know, this is a very, very interesting complication right now for us.
And now, I think we got 27 cars back on the lead lap, with Suarez being the last one now. But Cole Custer, one lap down, along with Chase Elliott, the 77 of McMurray, and the 66, the 22 of Logano actually got trapped a lap down. But Kyle Larson still on the lead lap, the 42's 2 laps down. But a really weird situation right now with that incident. Larson actually down there in P19, so overall a really weird situation going on here. We're going to go for one more break and come back for you guys at the time of the restart here in the 2021 Daytona 500, where hopefully we'll have everything resolved here and ready to go. Martin Truex Jr. actually, while we were away from the break, ended up retiring from the race after that heavy damage, but Ryan Blaney is the leader, and just with the way NR2003 is with the NASCAR ruling back at this time, you're seeing a whole bunch of drivers in front of them with a mix of lapped cars on the inside and then drivers on the lead lap, but not leading in front of them. They're kind of like basically on the verge of going a lap down here as we get ready to take the green flag, as the 77 of Jamie McMurray maybe appears to be having an issue. But guys, I mean, Jay, what do you think is going to happen on this restart? I think it's building up to be pretty hectic. Or Eddie.
Yes, and Gary, I can confirm with you, the 77 appears to be having a flat tire issue for the 77 Jim McMurray. A very unfortunate return to his Cup Series career right now, as we're coming back to the green flag. I think right now Ryan Blaney's like, I need to get through this traffic as fast as possible and try to get to the front, because there's no way. In my opinion, I think we're going to stay green as the green flag is back in the air, Gary.
And I don't even know, like, what I myself would be doing in a situation like this. You see Alfredo with all the damage on his car. He's not going to be able to do anything. The 42 of Chastain forcing it already up the inside of him. Chastain pretty much going to be a lap down here, I'm sure, now as they come through the center of 1 and 2. But overall, really just a weird situation. Ryan Blaney is your leader. In second place at the restart was the 7 of Corey LaJoie. But I mean, Eddie, it's going to be interesting to see what goes down here as they go down into turn 3. Now, as you see the 62 of Gregson, 3 wide up in front there. But I mean, Jay, I mean, you're seeing we got a bit of a breakaway here. This could be an opportunity for some of these guys that were in front of the pack, not actually leading, to maybe get away here.
An opportunity for those guys to get away and lead, but also an opportunity for these guys here stuck behind all these slower cars to get really frustrated and really mad real quick. These cars today in Daytona have refused to get out of the way, and it has caused a big jumbled up mess, and it looks like it's going to keep getting worse here.
It does not look friendly right there, Eddie. You see what's happening right now. Blaney was the leader at the end of that lap, but it now actually belongs to the 10 of Aric Almirola. But, I mean, what's the game plan here, Eddie? I mean, look at this mess right here. What do you do right now?
If I was somebody here in the top 5, I would just be praying to the Lord Jesus and just say, thank you, God, for please just let me get through this traffic in one piece. And, yeah, get these lappers out of my way at the same time, please, because they are not having the best time of their life right now. As much as everybody is happy that NASCAR is back and they're excited to get in their cars, I think everybody's going to be a little frustrated with somebody at the end of this race.
I think the stress levels are through the roof right now for some of these drivers. As we got the 23, by the way, of Bubba Wallace up into the 6th position at the beginning of lap 68 now, as Kyle Larson, after that weird incident, getting just hooked by Joey Logano, back up into 7th place. Logano on the verge of going a lap down, but the 10 of Aric Almirola currently leads this thing here as they go down into turn 3. So things seem to be calming down a little bit. You see the back of this pack here trying to get all sorted out, but an absolute mess things have become now as they finally seem to be calming down once again here in Daytona. But we can only wonder now. We're just past the halfway point of what's going to happen here as we come through to lap 69. Nice here in Daytona as Ryan Blaney right at the back there. He was just leading a few moments ago. Now here he is, not even inside the top 10 anymore now, as you see the 38 of Alfredo. I mean, guys, not a good day for the front row motorsports team. Both of their drivers actually missing their back bumpers. So, Jay, you look at Alfredo, definitely not the debut he was looking for.
Certainly not the debut he was looking for. Just running by himself, trying to get past the issue of Logano, and then Truex having ARCA brakes and slamming into the rear of his car and completely destroying it, basically virtually ending his day. The only thing that I think is kind of a bad thing is the fact that he stayed out there on the track and is pretty much just going to be a roadblock anytime the leaders come up onto him. So if I were him, if I were his crew chief, I would just call him down to the pit road, put it in the garage, and just call it a day and not be in anybody's way. But it doesn't seem like that's going to happen.
We also got the 77 of McMurray back on track. Eddie was mentioning his problems there coming to the restart. So currently 4 cars retired here in this race. Now as we cycle back here, so Eric Jones leads this first pack. Kurt Busch, though, leads the overall race as he's battling for the lead with Aric Almirola. Harvick going to force it up the inside 3 wide. We've seen Harvick up in the mix here, and 66 still finds himself of Timmy Hill there somehow in the mix as well. But Bubba Wallace, guys, we were mentioning earlier, he was just kind of hanging in the back. But Eddie, you look at Bubba now, up here into the top 10, having a strong run there at the end of that lap, was in P7, so he's definitely turning it up here as we pass the halfway point.
Yeah, Gary, the 23 of Bubba Wallace is finally showing up to the race today as he's now climbed in the top 10. But Gary, how about the man that's been on a mission since this race has started, the pole sitter, Larson, up to 2nd place after the wreck of spinning in the middle of the tri-oval. No damage, nothing happening to this 5 car, as apparently nothing is stopping this 5 car from trying to win the 500 today, Gary.
Kyle Larson right now definitely appears to be on a mission in his NASCAR Cup Series return here at Daytona International Speedway for the 2021 Daytona 500. Larson, as Eddie was just mentioning, as we saw before the break, he got involved in that incident with Joey Logano, and he's run so well. He's had multiple things already that have kind of been a setback for him, and he's worked his way back forward each time as they get right up to this pack now, but they seem to be kind of calm there, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue as McMurray was kind of holding everybody up. But I mean, Jay, at this stage in the race, who do you look at as your guys now? We're past the halfway point. Some of the big names have been taken out. To me, it's, I think, Larson and Hamlin, and they started on the front row, but Hamlin has been another driver that's been forced to the back, and he's worked his way forward. So who are you looking at right now in the final, 50 laps or so?
The big three that I'm looking at in this race are Larson, Hamlin, and Harvick, which unfortunately for Harvick, he just got caught behind that little group there with the 77 and went from leading this race to all the way back to, I don't know, maybe 10th or 11th place. We'll see here at the line. He is indeed in, okay, he's in 7th, not as far back as I thought. But, and Hamlin also trying to work his way up through, and Harvick, or, excuse me, Larson trying to work his way through some of these slower guys as well. So I'm curious which one of these guys can navigate their way through all of these slower cars the best. And right now it looks like Cindric is going to take the lead away from Larson.
Austin Cindric in his Cup Series debut, the Xfinity Series champion from last year in 2020. The road course king in the Xfinity Series here finds himself out front, leading his first laps of his Cup Series career in just his first race. We were mentioning how he's kind of had a quiet debut. He's just kind of been slowly but surely working his way forward there as he moves up to the outside, handing the inside to Larson, but still gets credited with leading the lap. But Eddie, what a great debut this is for a young driver like Austin Cindric, who's working his way up through this Penske program.
Yeah, if you're a fan of Austin Cindric, you're having a fantastic time watching the man doing what he's doing now. What a great day for the guy in the 33. I talked to him before the race. He said he had a little bit of jitters. I mean, he was a little nervous making his Cup Series debut, but all in all, he said he's just ready to prove that he thinks he belongs here in the Cup Series and thinks he can run with the big dogs out here in the front.
Great debut indeed for Cindric now. So, I mean, if he keeps his car clean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him up in the picture here at the end of this race. We're closing in on the last quarter or so here of the Daytona 500 here for 2021. Now, just 2 by 2 by 2 right now through this first main pack, but it still is a really weird situation. The 49 of Chad Fincham rounds out the top 10 currently. He's in this main pack, but just a weird situation overall. Alex Bowman, he is actually now a lap down here in the Daytona 500, and I mean, we only have, guys, 19 cars currently on the lead lap just because of the just absolutely terrible timing of that caution. It had to be with the pit cycle now, as we got some other cars trying to stay within the draft now. But you notice a guy like Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Jay, I was expecting to see him up front early in this race making some aggressive moves, but we really haven't seen that from him today.
I think he's been in the back kind of off pace this entire race, and it's kind of surprising to see from him. Like you say, we normally expect to see Stenhouse up towards the front here in Daytona and making moves, being aggressive, and forcing his way to the lead. But so far today, he has just shown to not have the pace at all to compete.
So stuck in the back there is Stenhouse, 3 wide in front. Cindric actually giving up the lead to the 24 of William Byron, who finds himself up front, 3 by 3, 2 rows deep currently here down this back straightaway. So this front group of cars still not afraid to get aggressive here in Daytona. Now the pack definitely a lot smaller than it was earlier here, but I mean, a caution could really spice things up still, so there's plenty of time for something to happen. And you look at the laps that we have left. I mean, Eddie, are we looking at a one stop at this point, I believe?
Yes, I believe we're still looking at a one stop. I think these guys can make it to around, I would say, about like lap 100, maybe lap 90 if they want to cut it short and right at the money. But as I can see right now, I think everybody can make it to about around the late 90s, maybe early 100s range if they really want to push it. But they only need one more stop to make it to the end, as I'm really looking at the guy in the middle lane pushing the 10 right now. The 11 car has shown back up to the field, Gary, and I think he's trying to get to the front.
A little bit of a dangerous situation for Denny Hamlin to be putting himself in at this point as well. Now, you usually don't see that from him, but definitely wants to get up there. Hamlin, Larson, but you look right in front there. Anthony Alfredo, who we were mentioning was going to lose a lot of pace. Well, here he is, about to get swallowed up. Look at the closing right there between him and the 24. This could cause some issues. The 33 of Cindric's going to go flying by. The 4 of Harvick to the inside there under the yellow line. He might keep it clean. He does. What a moment right there from Kevin Harvick. He actually nearly to the lead. Oh my God, that nearly turned in.
Move from Harvick.
Absolutely, and I don't think he's going to get called for going below the yellow line. It appears that he might have just taken evasive action, or maybe did he get forced there? What did that look like? It looked like a force.
Look at who's on the outside stuck again.
Oh my God.
Hamlin just made all that progress back up, and he is again put back by a lap car. He has to be upset for, I could use other terms, but I'm sure he is a raging bull in that car.
But Jay, can we just talk about the veteran drivership of Harvick to be able to save the car going below the double yellow? I thought he was wrecked. I thought he was gone. I thought he was done.
Oh yeah, I saw that car get sideways, and I thought that was it. There we go. We're going to see the whole front of this pack die, but no. Harvick is able to save the car, and look at him. He's making a move for the lead from William Byron, and it seems like he is determined to win his second Daytona 500 in 2021.
But
And
Gary, how about the guy in the middle? The 51 has shown up again. This guy is just showing. You don't need a lot of sponsorship or a big team name to come out here and run with the big dogs in the 500.
Cody Ware, I mean, yeah, a young driver in his mid-20s with a not a great opportunity, but when it comes to a track where you can really use the draft to your advantage, he's proving that he can actually do something with that opportunity. Harvick with a great recovery, as we also have a replay, actually, of what just happened with Kevin Harvick that we'll check in just a second. But if Denny Hamlin manages to win this race, nobody can say anything about him not deserving this one. He has been put back many times, and right now is not with this main pack, but we're going to see if he can once again work his way back up there. But look, he doesn't have a whole lot of help. This could get very interesting for him. But quickly, we're going to check the replay of what just happened with your new leader of Kevin Harvick there when he got put below that double yellow line. Here's the view from Kevin Harvick right here on the onboard, right there. I don't think it was a force. It was more of an evasive action, it looked like there, Eddie.
Yeah, it was just Harvick being aware of the situation. I think he knew the 38 was coming back to them really quick, and Larson really just had nowhere to go. He had to put in a evasive move to get away from the 38, and Harvick, the veteran leadership that he has, knew to get away from it.
Actually, I don't know, guys. Looking at that replay there, it looked like Harvick might have put more than, at least 2 tires on that yellow line, if not a little bit below it. I'm kind of surprised that NASCAR has not black flagged him. Maybe they're reviewing it, and maybe they're going to. But it seems like to me he may have put himself under that double yellow line, and he may be in violation of NASCAR's rules here.
I think they'll let it slide on this occasion here because you saw the 5 car there kind of come across on the front of him, and I think he was just trying to make sure he didn't clean anybody out. Because that could have been a huge incident. So I think he's going to get away with it. We can confirm now that the moment or the incident there, quote unquote, is under review here by NASCAR. So it'll be interesting. I mean, Eddie, I myself didn't see anything that was penalty worthy. Like I said, I think it was more of an evasive action to make sure he didn't run into the 5 car who's now fading through the field.
Yeah, Gary, I think the 5 car is getting really frustrated. Another lap car being a detriment to this whole race for the 5 car. I mean, you can't get away from him. I mean, there's just nowhere to go. He is just falling all the way to the far back. As I think
Hamlin
now
is
Kevin
now getting in
Harvick has
front of
taken
Kyle
over it.
Larson.
Yes, as we see, Jay, the 11 has now gotten behind his teammate. I would not be very surprised if I see the 3 Toyotas here try to mesh up and try to get to the front here. But looking at how this race has gone, I wouldn't be surprised if another lap car ruins some of these top 10 contenders.
I mean, absolutely. I think it'll be something we see again. But Denny Hamlin, just a few moments ago, I was talking about it looks like he actually might lose the draft again. Here he is again in the pack. But I think the front row, Larson, Hamlin, they've been up front. They've been shuffled back so many times. They've worked their way back forwards. But now the pack is a really weird dynamic going on. A lot of single file action. There is a chance here. Hamlin's got his team at Kyle Busch, and he's got his own car on the 23 Toyota driven by Bubba Wallace right up in front of him. Corey LaJoie really seems to be hungry to make a move, but I mean, a really weird situation there for these guys to be in now is you see Jay Hamlin looking up the inside. He's definitely not afraid here today to actually leave out his teammate Kyle Busch, is he?
Hamlin knows he has the pace in this car, and I don't think he wants to sit around anybody who he thinks he's slower than. He probably wants to work with his teammates, but he wants to work with them being the lead car. I don't think he wants to sit behind anyone. He has been tired of sitting behind cars and watching cars be slower than him. He knows he has the pace to win this race, and he doesn't want to sit behind anyone anymore. He wants to go.
And I mean, you gotta wonder, honestly, at this point, who's the next lap car that's going to mess over Denny Hamlin at this point? Now, as you see Anthony Alfredo, he's actually coming out of the pit lane behind us there. Fortunately, keeps it below the yellow line here now in Daytona. But look at Kyle Larson, guys. I mean, he's now all of a sudden got a disconnect, but I don't know. Is he close enough to be able to actually get back up there, Eddie, do you think?
No, I don't think he's close enough, Gary. I think he's going to need help again from a lap car to possibly slow down this front pack. But, Gary, I want to give you a huge shout out to a guy we haven't talked about all day. How about the guy in 4th, the 20 car of Christopher Bell? As we see Brett Keselowski almost have a moment with Kevin Harvick, and I think he might actually slow up the top pack here as Kurt Busch looks to be off the pace to slow down for Brett Keselowski. But going back on it, the 20 car having a fantastic day, keeping it clean, keeping it in the front, and I mean, just a great showing for the guy who's taking over the ride for Eric Jones. Nobody thought that he would be able to live up to the expectation that he has, knowing how he did in the 95, but having a great showing here in the 500.
Yeah, I mean, a great run for Christopher in his debut for Joe Gibbs Racing. But you saw there, Keselowski and Harvick nearly came together. I heard Jay kind of react there in the booth, but as well, Kurt Busch Actually a victim of being held up again, and multiple drivers here today. But yeah, Jay, I heard you react there. It looked like him and Kevin were going to make some contact there.
Yeah, I thought that Keselowski was going to make a major misjudgment and just wind up wrecking his Ford affiliate of Kevin Harvick, who was leading this Daytona 500. That was a real clinching moment for me. I thought that Harvick's race was about to be over, and Keselowski was about to make quite possibly the biggest mistake of his career.
That would have been an absolute disaster. You see a lot of lone cars here. The 34, the 21 of Matt Benedetto, he's actually gotten disconnected. We got the 34 there, like I said, of Anthony Alfredo, Cole Custer. Then you got Noah Gragson, Chase Elliott, Jamie McMurray, the 42 of Chastain, and then of course we got this big pack of cars. And I mean, Eddie, you were just mentioning Christopher Bell. Look at him, three wide in the middle right now, actually side by side with the driver that he took over for, Eric Jones in the 43, and Denny Hamlin again up here in the mix, actually moving up into P5 on the exit of turns 4. But what's notable, behind him, he's got his own car, Bubba Wallace right there in behind him. So Bubba continues to have a strong run. But I mean, especially Eric Jones in his debut after getting sacked by Joe Gibbs Racing, this is definitely, so far, if he can remain like this, Eddie, I think a good statement to JGR, especially from Eric Jones.
Yeah, I'm very surprised, Gary, as the 43 is not even scored in the top 10. I'm pretty sure he's one of the lap down cars, but I'm
Oh
actually
yes.
very surprised that he's actually been able to keep up with the lead pack, unlike every other every other lap down car that has been a nuisance to all the lead lap cars as we see there today. But Eric Jones is just hoping that he can hopefully get to the front with somebody, as I don't think he really has any friends right now, because I think everyone just thinks he's going to be another one of those lap down cars that's just going to be a nuisance to get in the way of everybody.
Yeah, I was
One
under
thing
the
I want to
impression he was on
mention
the
real
lead
quick
lap.
is I noticed that Larson was stuck behind Keselowski last lap. In fact, he may still no, he's got past him now. But Larson falling even farther behind, getting stuck behind another lap car. I think Larson is truly out of this race unless there's another caution, or maybe they catch that pack of Ross Chastain and the like with Chase Elliott and I think one other car, and this lead pack gets slowed down immensely.
Yeah, so Eric Jones, not on the lead lap. I mean, I was under the impression he was, because he was actually not way off the pace. So, I mean, overall, he's looking good right now here in the pack now. But three wide back there, Kyle Busch, Daniel Suarez in the mix. I mean, this is just quite a mix here of cars and stuff. On the lead lap, not on the lead lap, is Kevin Harvick leads the way over William Byron in the second position here as I come through down the front straightaway. And now on lap 89 of 120, just over 30 laps to go. Jay, what do you think is going to go down at this point?
Well, first I want to ask you, okay, over there sounded like you just had an avalanche.
My microphone just fell off my head here in the booth. It hit the ground, but we're all okay now. Thank you for asking, though. Now, but it appears my Xbox controller has gone missing in the dark here. But yeah, I mean, who's your pick? Who do you think is going to be able to pull this one off?
Well, I think the easy one now would be Kevin Harvick, and maybe I say dark horse, but not really dark horse. Denny Hamlin as well. He's found himself finally back with the lead pack, not having to worry about, at least for now, not having to worry about a lap car to slow him down. And unfortunately, it seems like Kyle Larson, the other big guy, the other really dominant guy in this race, is now completely out of it. And I'm not sure how long it's going to be until this lead pack catches that little group of Chastain, Chase Elliott, and I think it was McMurray. But I think once they do, they're going to get held up big time once again.
Yeah, Kyle Larson, Eddie. Look, you see on the scoreboard, Larson 6 seconds back now. So without a caution, definitely his chances are over, aren't they?
Yeah, they're very much over, Gary, unless a caution comes out. But I would just keep my fingers crossed if I was the 5 car in his team. I mean, we got over about 30 laps to go, somewhere like that. But I think we may be able to see another caution, as I think the lead group is going to be catching Chase Elliott and that other little slow group any moment now, I'm pretty sure, as we're getting closer to getting past 100 laps here.
There is one thing I actually want to mention. We do have green flag pit stops are about to come up, and if they're anything like they were last time we had green flag stops, we might have some interesting things play out, and maybe a caution comes out from guys struggling getting on and off pit road. And who knows, maybe Larson is involved in that, and maybe it goes even worse for him, or maybe he gets a bit of luck and stays out and avoids the trouble and gets back into the lead that way. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when they come down pit road here in just a few laps.
Well, I can definitely
Absolutely.
confirm, Jay, that if they even get to green flag pit stops, they're going to have to get through this mess of 3 wide here. I don't know how Harvick and the rest of this group is going to manage getting through 3 wide between McMurray. You got Alfredo, who's very, very slow and off the pace, and everybody's just still 2 and 2 in front of them. But If I'm Harvick, I'm trying to figure out right now in my head where am I going to go. I'm not even worried about going to green flag pit stops because I don't even think we're going to be able to get to them.
I mean, we saw, though, under that last set of green flag pit stops, what occurred. We ended up getting a caution towards the very end of that cycle. Denny Hamlin back up into third place, trying to make a move on William Byron, but he's got help. But here we go, right to the back of the 38. Harvick appears to be looking to the inside. Alfredo there. So far, so good. But look how far off the pace that 38 car is now, as this could get interesting right here. Now, as the 38, or of Alfredo, 34, sorry, right up in front. I thought there was about to be a bit of contact. But they keep it relatively clean. Green flag pit stop, so actually underway here. Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Christopher Bell, Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, all coming in together. So 5 cars, and honestly, guys, 5 strong cars. Eddie, this could be a really good call from them to get away from that absolute mess. And honestly, they might be able to pull a bit of a gap because they're not going to be stuck behind these slow cars.
These pit stops, I'm sorry, Eddie, I just want to mention these pit stops are extremely good timing for these guys. They had just caught those lap cars, and that could not have been better timing for them to just come down pit road and avoid those lap cars and get their pit stop in, and leave these other guys to deal with those slow cars.
Hey, you got 2 of the best crew chiefs in the business right there, Jay. You got Chris Gapehart with the 11 and Rodney Childress in the 4, coming out with the big brain moves. They saw the slower traffic that they were getting involved in. As we see, it is just getting absolutely worse and worse as the green flag laps keep going. I would not be surprised if I see more cars duck down to come to pit roads. I think more cars are. The leader, William Byron and Austin Cindric, are coming to pit road, as I'm pretty sure the 23 is now taking over the reins of the lead here, Gary.
Bubba Wallace potentially to the lead. No, it's the 49 Chad Fincham out in front right now, over the second place of Bubba Wallace now. As you see, though, the 23 could go to the lead here in just a second, as we have everybody kind of merging back onto the track. The 66, who caused a massive crash earlier there, but fortunately doesn't this time. But, I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very key. Wow, that was nearly a moment there with Logano and Fincham, but look at this. Quinn Health, they're slowing up everybody. Thankfully, they keep it clean. It's going to be interesting to see if any of these guys right here come into the pit lane now as we exit turn 4. Do you think we're going to see anyone come in? It appears the 22 of Logano and the 51 of Cody Ware, the 9 of Chase Elliott, the 10 of Almirola, and even the 17 of Chris Buescher in the back coming to the pit lane. But honestly, I mean, Jay, I'm guessing here these guys are going to lose quite a bit of time to drivers like Denny Hamlin and that first initial group that pitted.
Yeah, the first initial group that pitted that decided to come down pit road before they had to deal with those slow guys are probably going to have quite the big lead here, which, I mean, props to them for seeing that and making the call to come down pit road before they had to deal with those slow guys. It's unfortunate for the ones who decided not to pit that they're probably going to be quite far behind now, but at the same time, they had every bit of opportunity, just as the 11, the 4, and those guys did, to come down pit road and stay away from those slow cars.
So Hamlin actually out front with his teammate Kyle Busch there from that initial group that pitted. Cindric actually just behind them. But then we got Harvick and Kurt Busch. So 5 cars right there. Now as we have another car coming out of the pit lane. But here we go, heading towards the end of this pit cycle. Cars coming back on track.
I believe that Christopher Bell is in the lead.
Christopher Bell could be. Yes, he actually is out in front of the 11 car. Logano just coming back out as well. But I mean, there you see the 9 of Chase Elliott emerging back on the track. Of course, his chances of a Daytona 500 victory for the first time in his career came to an end, unfortunately, quite early in this race on lap 26 when he got taken out there in that big incident when we saw the 16 of Kaz Grala go up and over his hood. But Jay, you mentioned with the 20 up there, it's a 3 JGR car kind of breakaway right here. But William Byron actually somehow was able to get in front of these guys. So as everybody else comes out, this is going to put Byron out in front over the 20 and the 11 and the 18. So, I mean, a great execution there. But honestly, Jay, you look at these 3 behind them. I mean, 3 JGR cars, this is just like a dream for them right now.
Oh, yeah, they're probably going to easily be able to find their way around Byron here if they want to work together. I would imagine that Denny Hamlin is going to, just like that. They're going to storm right around Byron here. And then Hamlin's probably going to want to find a way to get around his teammate Bell, because we all know that Hamlin wants to lead this race and get his 3rd Daytona 500 in a row.
25 laps to go, coming to 24 to go. Denny Hamlin has once again put himself in position where he looks up the inside now of Christopher Bell to be in the right position at the right time towards the end of this race. Here he is with a chance to go 3 Daytona 500s in a row.
Yeah, Gary, I can confirm that the GGR cars did have a plan. They did have the plan to come pit together, but I am very surprised at how good the 18 crew was. He was one of the second to last people to pit with that group of cars, and they gained him so much time to put him in second place right now, ahead of Harvick, Bell, and Byron, as much time as they made. But if I'm looking behind, if I'm like Harvick and Byron, I'm looking at that second pack of the other cars coming in. You got Austin Cindric, you got the one of Kurt Busch, the 99 who's a lap down but helping, and then after that, there's a big gap between seventh and eighth, about 4 to 3.5 seconds between seventh and eighth place right now.
It's going to be, if it stays green here, it's going to be a really weird ending, I believe, to this 2021 Daytona 500 now. As Hamlin, Kyle Busch up in this front pack with Eric Jones, who is a lap down. So your top five is Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Christopher Bell, William Byron. Then we got Kurt Busch, Austin Cindric, Corey LaJoie, Chad Fincham, and Bubba Wallace to round out the top 10. And guys, as we approach 20 laps to go, this is probably, I think, the most spread out the pack has been. We got through the green flag pit stops this time without any issues. And honestly, the way things are, Jay, do you think it's going to stay green here till the end?
I'm unsure if it'll stay green because I know these guys are going to run into lap cars again. What I do know is lap cars will probably have once again have an effect on this race, and it's very, very possible that the one car, the 33 and the 7, well, maybe not the 7, but at least the one in the 33 could easily catch this pack here if we have another group of 3 or 4 slow cars slow these guys down and hold them up for a couple of seconds.
And you saw Kyle Larson there. Look at him. He is unfortunately way off. He is in desperate hope of a caution flag coming out at this point there. But honestly, I myself, Eddie, I would like to hear your input as well on the thoughts of the caution. I don't think we're going to get another caution. I think it stays green here to the end.
Gary, I don't think we get a caution here. I honestly think it's going to stay green the rest of the way. I think that Denny Hamlin has this pretty much secured in the bag, unless Kyle Busch makes a move. But the other eyes I'm looking at right now, Kevin Harvick is slowly but surely picking his way through these cars as you see him peeking to the inside of Kyle Busch here, trying to go for second place. But the only thing I'm concerned about, he has no help. There's not a single Ford that's around. He is the only Ford that is close enough to his lead pack. But the other guys I'm looking about, the one of Kurt Busch has slowly creeped his way back in here, along with the 33 of Austin Cindric. They are slowly but surely getting back up to this front pack.
And then behind them, look at this, Jay. You see that? Is that pack going to be able to do anything?
I was just going to mention, I thought I noticed that a big group of cars had gotten together behind, and quite frankly, that lead group has kind of been disorganized. They haven't really stayed together and been in a formal line that gets the most speed out of their cars as they can. Well, these guys back here are, in more formal lines and certainly getting much better draft in that lead group. So it's highly possible that maybe, with now 19 laps to go left in this race, I think that these guys, if they stay organized, they may have a chance of getting up to that lead group, but it's highly unlikely.
One thing I want to point out about this second group right here is only a few cars in this group are actually in the mix of being on the lead lap going for the victory, and that's drivers like the 10 of Almirola, the 49 of Fincham, but as well as the 51 of Cody Ware, and the 23 of Bubba Wallace. Other than that, every car you're seeing right here is actually a lap down just because of the pit cycle, the way that caution came out under that last pit cycle, or the one previously, I should mention, when we saw the incident with Kyle Larson as well as Joey Logano. Now, as you see, 3 wide back there, but Cody Ware still with a very solid run here. Newman, I should mention, also is actually in this pack, and he is on the lead lap as well. But, I mean, this is quite the day, Eddie, for some of these underdog drivers, where we're looking at the second pack that is about 11th through 14th, and you got drivers like Fincham and Cody Ware having very strong runs today.
Yeah, this is very surprising. I bet a lot of people who bet on this race for people to finish in certain positions are very confused on who the 49 and the 51 are, but now they know that these guys, any underdog story can happen in the Daytona 500. Anything can happen in any of these races. As we see, Gary, the 4 car, like I said, of Kevin Harvick has picked his way through. Caution is on the track. I don't know what has happened.
Caution is out, and Eddie just mentioned while we were away looking at that second pack, Harvick took the lead, and I said, you know what? No chance of a caution. We looked through the cameras. I am not seeing anything that jumps out immediately at me that would cause a caution. But either way, before we go to the replays and see what just happened, pace car on the track, cautions out. Harvick, second, Denny Hamlin, third place, Christopher Bell. So Harvick out in front here now with less than 20 laps to go. This could really change everything here at this point. When we go green, it'll be probably, a 15-lap dash here. So, Jay, I mean, these guys are going to put it all out on the line at this point.
I just want to mention the guy who is licking his lips right now and salivating at the fact that there's a caution.
We have trouble.
Kyle Larson. Oh, there's an issue in the back. It looks like Larson actually may be involved in that issue. So maybe he's not smiling, as I was just saying that he wasn't happy about a caution. I wonder
Kyle
if he
Larson,
got damage.
48
Bowman.
involved, 8 involved.
0-0 there getting damage.
I believe that was just the effect of a checkup right there. Larson's back end looks a bit
He
damaged.
got hit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Knocking got back end damage as well, Gary.
48, the 0-0 with the heaviest damage there. As that was a weird moment. Of course, we're gonna actually go right now and take a look back at what just happened there on the slowdown lap here for the caution. But before we do that, let's just make sure nobody comes into the pit lane right here as they go down the front straightaway. It appears everybody actually staying out, other than the 8 of Reddick, who appears to have some damage as well. So we're going to get a quick look at what in the world just occurred there with that slowdown lap happening with the 0-0 making some contact with the back of someone. Gwen Health coming into the scene here behind the 48. Oh my god. A huge checkup there. Kyle Larson definitely was involved. You saw a bunch of cars come together. That was very weird moment for them now. Jay, I don't know if that's going to make things worse. I'm sure it does make things worse for Kyle Larson, especially Alex Bowman. But, I mean, when you were just mentioning this could be an opportunity for Larson, here he is getting just slammed into from the back and the front now.
Yeah, his back end is definitely a little bit more pancake than I was thinking that it was. It was certainly a harder contact than I had initially thought. I'm not too sure how these guys didn't see that the cars were slowing down, but there was definitely big contact for the likes of Bowman, Hoff. Little bit of hard contact there for Larson, and then Chase Elliott. You can see his front end or his rear end is dented in as well. So certainly a lot of guys getting a whole lot of damage here under the caution, just trying to get slowed down.
And we are just getting word actually for the reasoning of this caution was actually for the 12 of Ryan Blaney. There's you see some cars coming into the pit lane, but Blaney actually had a tire go down and threw some debris onto the track. That was the reasoning for the caution. He came in and got that dealt with. There you see the 37. Look at all the damage on that car. He actually was in that little pile up there on that slowdown lap, and then we got the 0-0 of Quinn Health missing his front end, and then you got the 38 there of Anthony Alfredo coming out, and I think I saw Alex Bowman on the pit lane, but I might be wrong there. But either way, very unfortunate day for some of these Hendrick drivers, guys. I think the only one that hasn't had issues is the 24 of William Byron. But Eddie, Kyle Larson did not appear to pit there. So, I mean, maybe they're confident that they actually can still have speed to race for a win.
Yeah, Gary. I think it honestly was just minimal damage to the rear end of the spoiler. I think it was just literally trunk lid damage, but I don't think that will affect them aerially. Maybe in the draft for some people that want to push him, but other than that, I think Larson's still good. I think also Chase Elliott. I don't know. I'm a little surprised that Chase Elliott didn't pit there. I'm pretty sure he had his rear end damage pretty severe a little bit, but other than that, I think everybody else is pretty good.
I believe actually the 48 is in the garage, and that's why we didn't see him at all, because he's not there on the track. It's not on the pit lane. I believe the 48 got too much damage there under that caution with the that yes that you can see on the leaderboard in the top left of your screen. The 48 has pulled out of the race. A DNF here for Alex Bowman within the final 20 laps of the 2021 Daytona 500. So we're going to go through into a quick break here, come back for what could be the final restart in the 2021 Daytona 500 with Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin out front. And we are back once again here at Daytona. 15 laps to go, coming to 14 to go once we take the green flag. Real quick, Jay, Eddie, who are your picks at this point? We'll start with Eddie on who wins today's Daytona race.
Gary, I'm gonna have to go with Mr. Denny Hamlin. I think he three-peats it here today at Daytona.
Great position for him. They're lining up second. It's going to be double follow all the way back. But Jay, who's your pick?
I'm going to call it William Byron. I'm going to say he gets his first Daytona 500 victory here today. I think he's going to power his way around and keep Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick at bay and soar on to his first Daytona 500 victory.
William Byron looking to make a statement, picking up his first win of the season potentially here in Daytona and locking himself into the playoffs now as the pace car is going to pull off here. You see double file all the way back just because of how much lap traffic we got due to the poor timed cautions earlier in this race. Now as the green flag is back out, 14 laps to go in the Daytona 500. Harvick has a pretty good launch there compared to Denny Hamlin. So it's going to be really interesting to see on what could be the final restart of the day here in Daytona if these lap cars are really going to shake things up now. This is their best opportunity, I think, all day long now. I mean, Jay, do you think that lap traffic here is going to play a big role in the outcome of this win?
I'm not so sure if it'll play a big part in these front guys, as we can see Eric Jones and Suarez kind of being in the way, but it will certainly play a big factor into some of these guys that are towards the outside of the top 10 and wanting to get into the top 10 being getting in the way of those, the lap cars being in the way of those guys. So it'll certainly be interesting to see if they try and if they're easy to navigate their way around these guys, or if they get stuck behind them and unfortunately can't really go anywhere.
An example of that's Kyle Larson right now. I mean, you can see he's just kind of stuck there. The 23 of Bubba Wallace as well. They're all kind of stuck, not really able to go anywhere now. As you look at the 21 of De Benedetto, then we have these 4 slow cars back here with a lot of damage here in Daytona. But Kevin Harvick out front, second place. Denny Hamlin third is the 24 of William Byron. Cindric up there in the top 5, and we've mentioned multiple times already Cindric's being quiet, but he's making it work, and here he is, Eddie, in the top 5 with now 13 laps to go in the Daytona 500.
Yeah, he's been just chilling around in the top 5 all day, Gary. But how about the 3 wide racing back here? We got the Busch brothers and Christopher Bell going for the top 5 here with Cindric out here front. But as I say, Gary, my pick, Denny Hamlin. He's starting to look a little bit, trying to get to the lead with Kevin Harvick.
I think my pick as well at this point. Denny Hamlin looking to go 3 in a row here in the Daytona 500 now up the inside. He's got the lapped car of Erik Jones out of the way, and he's got some help from potentially William Byron there in P3, and it's going to get interesting here. Jay was mentioning William Byron, myself, Eddie, looking at Denny Hamlin here. It's going to be really interesting to see who goes where now. As Hamlin, he's got 2 teammates up here in the top 6 or so, and that is Kyle Busch as well as the 20. Of course, his other one of Martin Truex Jr. DNF'd earlier in the event here in the Daytona 500, but there you see the 11 to the back of the 4 of Kevin Harvick. Harvick looking for his first Daytona 500 win in over a decade, a move to the inside now. I mean, honestly, Jay, do you think this is a little bit too early from Denny to make a move?
No, I don't think it's too early at all. Like I've been saying this entire race, Denny wants to get out front and stay out front. He does not want to be behind anyone else after all of the crap that he's gone through with lap cars blocking him, after everything he's done, coming through the field 3 or 4 times, going back through, coming back, going back. So it's, he wants to get to the lead and stay in the lead and make this race his to control.
Hamlin bringing 2 lapped cars as well with him on the inside, so he could put a bit of a cushion between himself and the rest of the field. Kurt Busch as well getting up into the mix now, but I mean, it's about a 7 or so car breakaway from that next pack, and I mean, really no pressure from them behind there, so it's really just down to this group of cars right here between Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, William Byron, Austin Cindric, as well as Christopher Bell. So really basically a battle just between the top 7 and then 8th on back. They are just going to go at it here in that second group here. As you see, Hamlin trying to manage both lanes. Suarez leads at bottom right in front of Kurt Busch, and then Erik Jones leads that top lane. So it's going to be interesting here, and with now just 10 laps to go. I mean, Eddie, when do you think is the best time to make a move at this point?
I think getting close to probably to 5 or 6 to go, Gary, I think is the best move, but as we see right now, I think Denny Hamlin's smiling in his car right now as he sees 2 lap cars are basically being a blockade for him, as Harvick and Kurt Busch have absolutely nowhere to go right now.
Yeah, I mean, no pressure for Denny at this point as he comes through, just hoping it stays like that. They go 3 wide behind them. That's exactly as well as what he would like to see in this battle right here between these 5 cars, all for position. Now it's Harvick. He's looking to try and navigate his way and get through the 43 and the 99 of Erik Jones and Daniel Suarez. But I mean, honestly, what a weird Daytona 500 has been. I think, honestly, Jay, if you look back to what happened earlier with that caution coming out at the end of that first green flag pit stop cycle, if that did not happen, we'd have had a lot more cars on the lead lap, and a lot more cars probably in good shape as well, or at least a few, and I think it really could have changed the outcome as well.
Yeah, that unfortunate contact between Kyle Larson and Joey Logano really set this whole race off to just kind of have a weird tone to it, and kind of a wacky tone to it. Never really became a normal race after that. We've seen, small little groups here and there, and lap cars all over the place interjected in between lap cars, and guys trying to fight their way through all the slow cars, and it's just been kind of a wacky race ever since that caution. However, it looks like Daniel Suarez is going to maybe try and get past Hamlin here and put himself back on the lead lap. And also, I noticed when you switched the camera a moment ago, we saw those 4 really, really slow cars, or maybe half a lap ahead of these guys. I think these lead cars are gonna run into those guys before the end of this race.
Look at this though, 3 wide, Harvick to the lead, Busch to second, Hamlin drops down to P3. He completely got missed over there by Daniel Suarez and the 99 Trackhouse car. Jay just mentioning this lap traffic. You got like Jay said, 4 very slow cars right here, especially 3 of them. Alfredo seems to be the fastest. He's the only one that even has a front bumper. Now, as they are going down into turns 3 right now, this pack coming out of turns 2 here in a moment. And what's interesting about NR2003, and at this time of NASCAR, at this point in 2003, there was no green-white checkered, so we cannot have overtime here in Daytona. If we have a caution, what would you guys, Eddie, think the cutoff is? What, lap 117, I would say, or so?
Yeah, I think of it at least like 3 or 2 to go. I think is the cutoff. So I think everyone now is going to start to get antsy now, Gary. As I think Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Kurt Busch, any of them. I think if they want to go to the front, I think it has to be now.
Hamlin in a weird position, for sure.
I just want to notice that, or I just want to mention that the 49, that little group right there, they have been catching this lead pack of cars the last couple of laps, and they're now going to be throwing their hat in the ring to win this race.
Fincham, Newman leading this pack, both on the lead lap. Don't count them out. Here they are within reach. The 51 of Cody Ware, the 23 of Bubba Wallace are just behind Logano and BJ McLeod, also on the lead lap now. But we come back to the front of the field, and it appears Harvick side by side with Daniel Suarez. This is when we saw Harvick actually in a similar situation when Suarez went to the inside of Hamlin. Harvick attacked 3 wide. Now here Hamlin is following through, but there's a 49 of Chad Fincham. I mean, did you guys expect to see Chad Fincham up here in the top 10 after 115 laps going for a Daytona 500 victory? I certainly cannot say I didn't, but Jay, overall, actually, before we mention that, Hamlin to the inside here, 3 wide, going for the lead here with 5 laps to go in the 2021 Daytona 500. Now Suarez right in the middle. What a move from Hamlin, who tries to once again get into perfect position here in the closing laps. But as I was mentioning, Jay, I mean, overall, whatever happens today for Chad Fincham, what a great run it was for that 49 team.
Exceptional run for that 49 team and that 51 team of Cody Ware. These guys are normally back of the pack cars, but Daytona, as we all know, gives a chance for anyone and everyone to have a good race and have a good run. And it seems like they're going to be able to ramp up the intensity and maybe make a run for the lead here. As you can certainly see that this race is winding down, the intensity in this lead group has picked up immensely. We have 2 wide, 3 wide, cars making moves everywhere, and everybody wants to get to the front and win this race.
Bubba Wallace right at the back of that first pack. He's just catching up to the back of the 22 of Logano. Now Harvick knows he needs to get to the inside of Daniel Suarez ASAP, and sure enough, he gets to the inside of Suarez as we come through out of turn 2. Fincham even getting up into the mix into the top 5, 3 wide right now between him, Byron, as well as Bell. But look up ahead. These guys are not going to get to the end of this race without running down this group of 4 cars, and I think this is going to play a huge role. They're going to be at them probably within another half a lap. Right here.
This is going to be it, Gary.
Out of turns 4, approaching the final 3 laps of the 2021 Daytona 500. There you see in the view now the 4 slow cars. As how is Denny Hamlin going to approach this? This is the whole race on the line with 3 laps to go in the 2021 Daytona 500. Jay, where do you go at this point?
I don't know where you go. Those guys have been 2 wide for the last 10 laps ever since this race has restarted. They have not changed positions at all. You're going to have to make it, probably if you're Kevin Harvick or Denny Hamlin, well, as I say that, they're now single file. But you're probably going to have to find a way 3 wide to get around these guys, and you have to take advantage of it quick. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck and have nowhere to go. This
might be pretty good timing. Hamlin, I don't know how Hamlin did it, but he got clear of Harvick there before they caught them and got down to the bottom. That was a clutch move right there from the 11. And our surprise, so far, so good. He's up the inside there, and now actually passing Quinn Half and to the inside of Alfredo. That was a lot cleaner than expected now, as you see Harvick, though, with 2 laps to go in the Daytona 500, a chance to pounce. It's between Hamlin and Harvick, but don't count out drivers like Kyle Busch and William Byron now. I mean, when do you make a move at this point, guys? I mean, now with 2 laps to go, do you wait till the final lap on the back straightaway? What do you do, Eddie?
I don't know, Gary, but I can also mention the 1 and the 20 were caught in the lap traffic, and they are no longer a threat to win this race, I'm pretty sure, Gary. But if I'm Kevin Harvick right now, I think you have to make the move now. I think there's no other chance. As you see, he's making the move now, and Kyle Busch is lingering. Gary, I do not count out this 18 or the 24 to win this race at all. I could expect them to be 3 wide coming into the last lap.
3 consecutive Daytona 500 victories on the line right here as the white flag is out. Hamlin by just a few inches right there at the line, but he has no help from a teammate, and he's going to have to rely on a former teammate of Eric Jones to push him here, but I don't think it's going to happen. Harvick clear of Hamlin as we come through the center of one and out of turns two. We saw Kevin Harvick win one of his duels, or I think it was second or like that, but he was in a photo finish there, and he tries to back that up here with the Daytona 500 victory. Hamlin down the back straightaway has that draft from Harvick. If he can get clear of Kyle Busch, who knows what happens at this point as he go into turns three. He's not clear. Hamlin does not look like he's going to be able to continue with the three in a row, and Harvick out of turns four has no pressures. They're side by side behind him. Kyle Busch even getting in front of Hamlin as they come through down the front straightaway for the final time here in Daytona. Kevin Harvick will come through to win the 2021 Daytona 500. Kyle Busch and Hamlin side by side at the line, but Kyle Busch was able to get his teammate of Hamlin for the second position as Kevin Harvick timed it perfectly there as we were asking Eddie, when was the move coming? It happened just when, I guess, Eddie was talking about it. He ends up winning the 2021 Daytona 500. What a move that was. I mean, Eddie timed it perfect there, didn't he?
Oh, he timed it perfect. But Gary, how about the incredible stories? Ryan Newman after last year's horrific wreck for top 5. The rookie in his first try, also Cindric. P6, the 51 with low-income funding and everything. And P7, Bubba Wallace, the story all week with the 23XI team forming for P8. Corey LaJoie, P9 with the new team at Spire, and Kurt Busch, and I thought he was going to be out of it. Well, he kind of was, but even though he's 5 seconds back, rounds out the top 10.
What a bunch of storylines like Eddie just mentioned. Jay, I mean, unfortunate for Fincham there. He didn't actually get a top 10, but I mean, overall, so many good stories coming out of this race for a lot of drivers with low income funding.
So many good stories and one big heartbreak story. Kyle Larson, who is leading this race, who is maybe seen as a dominant car of this race, finishes nowhere near the lead pack, finishes with a lot of damage and no chance to get a win in the 2021 Daytona 500. Absolute devastation for the driver of that number 5 car.
And Kyle Larson ended up bringing it home in a pretty disappointing finish there. Not inside the top 10, but he actually was the last car on the lead lap, P17, and we saw him run up front so much throughout this race, and it ended up being just a poor finish for him. Now, I thought originally it was going to be between him and Denny Hamlin. They qualified on the front row, but they also just got shuffled back a lot and continued to run well. So I thought it was going to be between them. We were wrong there. Hamlin was up in the mix, but yeah, disappointing day overall for Kyle Larson here at the end of things. Now, as we're going to go through and do just a quick recap of today's Daytona 500, but first we're going to go through and check out the finishing order here. So Kevin Harvick, of course, with the Daytona 500 victory over Kyle Busch, who just barely edged out his teammate of Denny Hamlin. William Byron up there in P4. Ryan Newman rounds out the top 5. If Eddie, you want to take over the next little bit there down to P15.
Yep, as we have the rookie, Austin Cindric, coming home in P7, or P6. Cody Ware, the unbelievable story for the 51 team in P7. Bubba Wallace, 23XI's debut in 8th. Corey LaJoie in his debut for Spire in P9. Good top 10 for Kurt Busch. Poor Christopher Bell stuck in lap traffic in 11th. Chad Fincham with an incredible day in 12th. Chris Buescher, awesome day too as well, running in the top 5 for most of the day, coming home 13th. Matt DiBenedetto, didn't hear much from him about him all day, 14th. And Eric Almirola in the Smithfield Ford Mustang round out top 15.
Jay, I'll let you go from 16th there to 25th.
Josh Bilicki getting himself a pretty decent finish in 16th place. Of course, the heartbreaking finish of 17th place for the dominant car, Kyle Larson. Eric Jones a lap down. We saw him battling a lot with those guys up front trying to get back on the lead lap. BJ McLeod in 19th place. Joey Logano, an unfortunate finish for him. Not a way he wants to start the season off. Same thing for Ryan Blaney in 21st place. Timmy Hill, the guy who we saw create the first wreck that was absolutely horrendous, in 22nd. Daniel Suarez with his first race at Trackhouse in 23rd. Ricky Stenhouse in 24th. Tyler Reddick 25th. Quinn Hoff 26th. Ryan Priest 27th. Noah Gregson 28th. Cole Custer 29th. And Chase Elliott 30th.
Elliott with a very poor start to the season, the defending champion from 2020, and taking you through the final 10 spots here today in Daytona. Jamie McMurray in his one-off Daytona 500 down there in P31. Ross Chastain, Anthony Alfredo in 33rd. Keselowski 34th, who has been known to be tremendous at plate racing. Has really been struggling the last few years at plate tracks. Michael McDowell in 35th. Alex Bowman starts off the drivers that actually DNF'd here today, so he's down there in 36th. Briscoe had a piston issue down there in 37th. Truex, of course, DNF'd with that earlier accident. Now as Austin Dillon and Kaz Gralla round out the final two positions, as we saw Gralla actually up on his roof on lap 26 here of this event. Now, as one thing we actually forgot to implement for today's episode was we wanted to do stages in this Daytona 500 as well as throughout the season. We could go back and maybe look at that and still implement this later and just kind of choose a certain lap and whatnot and just tally up some points. Let us know in the comments what you would like to see with that, as we originally did plan to do stages, but we completely forgot. So we will definitely implement that, though, in the next episode and going forwards when we go to the Daytona road course. And before we go into the recap of the quick race here in Daytona, you look at the next race, Jay, Daytona road course. We were just there for the Busch Clash earlier this week, and we saw what happened there. I mean, who knows what to expect.
Yeah, we saw what happened there with 20 cars. We had a 10 car. We had a half the field wreck in one incident. So that race with a full field of 40 cars could be a lot of calamity. As we know, this track is the road course is kind of tight. We had those chicanes that they're not fit for two cars, so it could get really interesting here next weekend as 40 cars take to the Daytona road course.
Absolutely. Cannot wait for that one now. Our first road course of 7 this season now. We're going to quickly take a recap here of the 2021 Daytona 500 before we end today's episode. So things started off, of course, with Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson being up there on the front row. Some big storylines with those two drivers themselves. Larson with the comeback, Hamlin looking to go 3 Daytona 500 victories in a row. And it was pretty calm here in Daytona for the start of this race, but we saw the 66 of Timmy Hill. He lost the draft. Daniel Suarez actually had to come into the pit lane before the race even started after having a steering issue, hit the wall, cut a tire. He was pretty much forced to lap down the whole race. Couldn't make it up, unfortunately, with the no lucky dogs, but the 66 of Timmy Hill ended up losing the draft, got caught by the pack, ended up being 4 wide on the exit of turns 2 on lap 26, where we saw Kaz Gralla actually get forced by Corey LaJoie below the double yellow line, and he made a tremendous save, came back up on the track. And I mean, Eddie, we saw what happened after that point, just absolute chaos with the 16 ended up on his roof.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate for the way even the champion started with Chase Elliott getting involved in that, Brad Keselowski, and a couple others involved too. It was a very unfortunate start, but not the way Kaz Gralla had in mind for starting out for Carly Grayson in their Cup debut.
Colleagues' debut in the Cup Series, Kaz Gralla's first Cup race ends up upside down over Chase Elliott's hood. Now, as they came through a little bit later in the race, where we saw some green flag pit stops, and everything was looking good, and we were getting right to the end of the green flag pit stop cycle. And Jay, we saw a big moment between Joey Logano and Kyle Larson on the exit of turn 4.
Yeah, that moment right there was really the downfall of Larson's race. He was practically the dominant car in this race, and then for whatever reason, Joey Logano decided to just completely turn him when Larson was having to slow up for some guys who were coming off of the pit road and not up to speed yet, or were going on to pit road. So unfortunately for Larson, he got tagged by Logano. They both spun around, and then Truex just came in and completely arc brakes the back of
Alfredo.
Alfredo, there we go, yes. Of Anthony Alfredo, and unfortunately into Truex's day, and basically ruined Alfredo's day with with the team having to rip the entire rear end of that car off.
Definitely just a weird thing overall. And then, I mean, we saw a lot of separation between packs after that and whatnot, with lap cars being up in the mix. There was a few close calls here and there. I remember one with Brad Keselowski as well as Kevin Harvick right at the front when Keselowski was getting lapped. But then we saw a caution a little bit later come out for debris, and then we actually had a bit of a stack up under caution where Quinn Houff drilled into the back of somebody. Bowman as well ended up DNFing, actually. Alex Bowman did, from the damage he got under that caution. Now, as we also saw some engine issues for drivers like Chase Briscoe, as well as Austin Dillon. So very unfortunate for those guys all around. And then, of course, Kevin Harvick comes through to win the 2021 Daytona 500 with second place going to Kyle Busch, and third, Denny Hamlin. So, I mean, you guys, overall, chaotic race here and there. A very weird Daytona 500 it was, but you look forward now to the next race here at the Daytona road course. And, I mean, you got to look at a guy like Chase Elliott, who finished 30th today. A very poor night or day for Chase Elliott, 2 laps down. And, Eddie, you know as well as I do, Chase Elliott's got to be looking for a great rebound at the Daytona road course.
Yeah, I think Chase Elliott's in for a really, really interesting week, especially with the disappointment of where he finished today. But I think knowing as many road courses as we're going to see on the schedule, Gary, and where we're going next week, I think he's got to be a little bit more confident knowing that we're going to one of the best road courses in Daytona.
Kevin Harvick, of course, coming off of a very heartbreaking end to the 2020 season. 9 wins, ended up missing the final 4 after a very poor Martinsville race and then a crash on the final lap. So that will, though, do it for today's broadcast here with myself, Jay, as well as Eddie, and we really do hope that you guys enjoyed it. There was certainly some mishaps here and there but I mean, overall we had a good time, and we hope you did as well. So in the next one, we'll be going to the Daytona road course here for the second race of the season, the first road course race of 7. Very excited to get that one underway. If you saw the clash earlier this week, could give you quite the idea of what to expect. So we'll see you guys then at the Daytona road course. Have a great day, everybody. Just a quick update post editing of this video. We did decide to implement stages at lap 30 as well as lap 60. So we put in the stage order and whatnot. So we will actually show you guys the points at the end of the next episode at the Daytona road course. So we hope you guys enjoyed. Really appreciate you coming out for this one, and we hope you have a great day.